Xiaomi.
Welcome everyone here again to the final group stage day, Tarzan, of the PMCO UK 2021 Fall Split. And now it is the penultimate moment, as we said, Tarzan, because these teams have something to prove, but also something beautiful before we get into that action is our sponsors, and they're proving good stuff indeed. Of course, Nemo TV, the official media partner of the PUBG Mobile Pro League in 2021 season, and also Xiaomi, where you can enjoy that super fast and lag-free PUBG Mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. And as we said, this is now final 4 games. We're getting into the nitty-gritty.
Oh man, like I think it's going to be extremely exciting. Not just the fact that we'll see who's going to qualify for the finals, is how yesterday went down as well. Like there's so many teams that really showed up when we didn't expect them to. We're talking about teams who had maybe 20 points, something like that, 20, 30 points, and got maybe triple the points in one day. So I don't know what to expect today, but I'm very down for a lot of surprises.
Wow, as we take a look at that format, of course, one last time for this group stage is where our 32 teams of this region competing, as we said, on the last of 6 days of competition. 4 more games today to go for them, where only the top 14 can progress to the finals. We've already qualified 2 with Gaijin, Seraphim, and also Rescue from the spring season earlier this year. But also, to be fair, we've got then another 4 days of competition of more full matches per day to where the real prize is, Tarzan. Not only that prize money, which we'll get into later, but the PMPL Season 2 spot.
Yeah, definitely. And we want a very worthy representative of the region. And so far, we've got some ideas. I think we can't say for sure they can compete at that level yet. But one thing that we can see is that teams have been improving. So that itself is a very important thing. If they can't adapt and grow through the competition, that is a bad sign. But we're having a bit of the opposite now. And hopefully that will also come through from not just the teams, that we're not doing so well and bouncing back, but for teams who are doing pretty well to do extremely well. That is another type of progress that we need when we're looking at that representative spot.
And of course, the point system here as well, Tarzan, is really what was the difference maker. So many of those kill points going over to those teams. I mean, those kill points, we proved they mattered.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we can see some of these ratio between the placement points and kill points, and some of them are just absolutely insane. We talk about 777 Esports, they are having 98 kill points so far. That itself might be enough for them to qualify.
I mean, to be fair, we're on a bubble for a lot of these teams is also to get into that finals for the prize money, Tarzan, where, yes, you can earn $500 for just making it in through the group stage, but also, more importantly, you can see the difference maker here, $4,000 for that first place prize, $2,500 for second, $1,700 for third. It makes a lot of a difference, of course, as we said, still at PMPL Season 2 spot for the Fall Split later on, which only goes to one more team from the UK region. Keep in mind, we've already qualified Lacanostra MVP from the PMPL last time, and also Nico Defense League already from PMNC. And as we also take a little bit of a look at this schedule for maps once again, Tarzan.
Yes, Erangel, Sanhok, Miramar, Erangel, like every day that we had the past 5 days. So today's we are going to have groups B and C. So the last two groups that we're going to play this, and we've seen some names in there that still gave us a lot of concern, I would say would be the word, a lot of question marks as well. So, but after yesterday, I would say just I don't know what to expect at all, and they will answer our questions in the most unexpected way, and I think I would love that. And of course, like today also adds a lot of nerves to those who are not playing, because they just need to be watching this. We're looking at some like tight situation when it comes to several teams. Like after yesterday's plays, the separation is so small that they almost need to pray for certain teams to absorb the points and others to screw up.
Yeah, of course, when I look down to those points, 75 is where we're at right now on that threshold. But we're going to have to get a little bit into more of that after a short break, where we talked about sponsors. You guys can see them there.
Xiaomi.
And we're back here for the PMCO UK 2021 Fall Split, where, of course, we are approaching that first match, the final of 4 in the group stage. But now we get a little bit of chat here, Tarzan, about the teams. I just wanted to bounce it off here as we do go to those overall standings. Actually, the big surprise of, yes, we saw big step ups from the likes of Spill being one of those new teams, Team 1802 coming in today being those new teams. But there's a lot of these more standard teams that we would assume would be up there that aren't.
Yes, of course, like to name a few, right? We've got Cyrex Esports, Triple Sports Club. Both teams did pretty well in that previous PMNC, right? So we expect them to be high up there. Of course, there were small roster changes, but like the way that they played were just kind of explains, like with a lot of sense, where they're sitting at right now at 17th, 18th place. When we're looking at a Team 1802, which we already see on this page, alongside maybe Wizard Esports and Born for Victory. Like these teams we haven't heard of as much, but they were above those two previously mentioned teams for very good reasons. Their plays really delivered. There's a lot of solid and decisive team play coming through.
I agree, and I think that we saw a big leap from some of those squads yesterday. Of course, when we talked about TRG making it to the first page from the last, the same with Most Wanted into ninth position. But there's a lot of more teams below them that are all looking to vie for that position. I think, yes, example, they are not safe. They are in that 14th position. But as we move further down that leaderboard, even more surprising for more household names like Cyrax in 17th position, as we'll see.
Yeah, but you know what? Like when we're talking about certain teams not being safe or they're just too far away, like yesterday really proved that point to be somewhat wrong. It's just insane what happened yesterday. When we're talking about Most Wanted now at 88 points, they started yesterday with 38. If that's not crazy enough, let's talk
TRG
about...
with less.
Yeah, TRG had 22 points and they ended up with 89 points. So that's 67-point day. That is insane. And like I can't just rule any team out based on what happened yesterday.
Yes.
Like that the reason for us to say that is not just about teams having the same ability, is to have witnessed some other team do that can actually have some effect onto other people thinking that they could do maybe a similar thing.
I think it's that mentality, though, Tarzan, of, well, we've got nothing to really lose. We might as well go out with guns blazing. And actually, sometimes that does work out for teams, just letting go of that scaredness and actually having the confidence or just be it balls to go for those plays. And as we do jump into that playing path, Tarzan, I want to see that come through from teams. I want to see the likes of Red and Black be able to step up and make it potentially to that first page as we do hit down on Erangel. And oh my, is it going to be an epic one, but not as epic as our sponsor Xiaomi, where you can enjoy that super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. Oh, it is time. It is time, and that playing path very centralized for all of these teams.
Pretty much a repeat of North Side this time, basically going over a mansion all the way towards Gatka Fields, and that is pretty nice for many teams because we can say with a little bit of float you can go to most of the drops on that main island, right? But like we know there are certain teams who love going to that southern island. Let's say to mention one would be Cyrex, who love Nova. Like we know how that team, even in PMNC or the early stages of this like tournament, would just have their game plan slowed down quite a bit because they kind of want to stick to that. Like this time around, we can see there's some changes coming through, and we love changes if they can be executed well.
I would say the state of the game for teams who love to play on that south side has been changed, and they have had to adapt because we've only seen one game, I believe, well, maybe two actually, I think yesterday, of that South Island really being utilized and having to force teams to go down there. It has more been towards the more centralized portions, particularly to that more western side, I would argue, of Erangel. And as we also saw yesterday, we finally even saw that northern side being tested. We now have another more central zone. I think this is going to be comforting for a lot of these teams. Yes, it's still going to pose its own challenges, but it's not going to be crazy and wacky like some of these teams might not be comfortable with.
Yeah, and I think we have to go back to some very textbook ideas. I like to say it that way because I feel like it's getting a little bit old now for me to talk about that. Because yes, when it complements, when the phase one circle complements the playing path this much, you think about saturation, you think about teams feeling comfortable and maybe not moving as much. But sometimes just because somewhere's a good place to loot doesn't mean it's a great place to hold and fight. So like those rotations within the zone, within the circle will be very key here. And that these teams to think about how to maneuver themselves through the map if they wish to do that, that is going to take some very good scouting and a lot of planning. And I would say, like, let's not forget about the research and the data that we've generated through previous VODs, right? So that VOD review would come in very clutch if they really need that. And right now, 18-02 having a bit of a split, and I think both teams can like find their opening only if they have a reason behind the split and know how to execute it.
I think that it really comes down to Mini and Love Kirby's solo players on the back end of the fight. These are the crucial players of the fight itself, because if either of those fall down, you then not only for the side of 18-02, they would lose their pinch with keeping Mini out the fight and actually pinching the rest of those three alternative members into a fight itself, but also the other alternative too, Mini is actually the side of Loveco falling down, opens then a gateway for the rest of those three players to escape from if required.
Yeah, I think the very important thing to think about here, guys, is not just what we can see on day. We have to wonder how much the players saw when they were jumping down, when they were landing, right? Those parachutes gave you so much info. And if they didn't do this type of essential work, then you can like lose a player or even two when you couldn't spot that off angle or split away enemy player. So that will be, once again, that really key thing there. But now that we've got Born for Victory on screen, I want to talk about them. They are strong. Their fights has been extremely strong, and they are not afraid to take fights at all. Like when we look at those stats as well, we talk about maybe that placement to kill point ratio. They've got 26 points from placement so far and 47 kills, and that is actually very different. It's almost on the flip side of many of the other teams.
Here also, I think around the school side, around the apartment side, this is something that is going to play a little bit more, I would say, into this phase one zone. And I want to see how teams really navigate, not just around a section, but around more that central portion of Erangel. Because although we said it is going to be something comfortable for these teams to do, yes, sure it will be, because these teams have seen these types of zones before in this competition. But I also feel that, unfortunately, as 18-02 do lose one to Mini, that was the off angle we were talking about. But actually, you have these sort of rotations that maybe teams still need to learn and need to be better at. And that's something that we have noticed through some of these squads. Of course, the reason why we maybe even see some of these favorites down in the bottom of the leaderboard, because they haven't had the clean series of games that they are required to have at this level of play.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I love talking about these points. Like, and before, I feel like that would give us a lot of indicative value when it comes to the predictions, right? But man, well, after yesterday, I had no words. Like, I don't know.
It was crazy.
Like, it was crazy. Like, so many teams played in a way that felt like someone else was playing. Like, on behalf of them, I'm not accusing anyone of that, but the level of confidence.
Yeah.
The difference that it makes, and really want to ask them, like, what happened? Like, was that some particular, I don't know, you watch a particular movie that inspirates it? Yeah, I don't know, like, inspired you, like,
now we're talking.
Like motivation, all that stuff. I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know, like, how to, think. Okay, like, there are some interesting things happening here. Like, so I always think about, this bounce back, especially after yesterday, right? So Red and Black would be one of those teams that need to do that. And this time round, I don't know what's the state of the team, especially when they played the second day without Shoxy, and now coming back as a full squad. And I'm not sure about the state of the team, especially the mental state of the team. And we know that is so key if they need to show that type of bounce back, and they need to do it at least as strong as TRG Direction yesterday.
I agree. I think TRG put something penultimate up here in their final performance. And when it comes to that final game, TRG, they actually are sitting in a spot that, for albeit it could be a qualification spot. by the end of the day. However, when you look back to how those results went through, I just want to give a little bit of a nod to the fact that it was because a lot of those lower placed teams did rise up in the leaderboard, and a lot of those already high placed teams didn't grab all the points. They didn't actually overall, as 16 collective teams, bump the leaderboard fairly high and set the standard quite high for these other 16 teams. So it actually does open the door for a lot more of these other 16 teams, if they can have these good results, to easily or more easily be able to find themselves in that top 14.
Yes, and you know what? Like when we were talking about maybe how hard it is to predict how it's going to be like today, I mean that's just life, right? But there was one thing that was extremely key yesterday was which team did these bouncing back teams killed? Well, we're talking about having some early skirmish with maybe 777 esports. Like you killed some of these top teams. Like you killed some players from Team Savage. Like seems like every team that got some early advantage, killing these teams that backed a lot of points in the earlier days, just really prepared from that point onwards. So I think that will be the thing that we'll be looking at. It's not just if they get that kill, it will be which kill and which player they killed. And that will be a huge thing that we can maybe draw some tangents off. And that will be quite an interesting indicator.
Okay, but we've had one knock so far from around the rest of the Yazai Polyana, but now comes the second as Iker do lose one to Born for Victory, but this has been the most passive game of PUBG Mobile. We've seen all PMCO UK so far. Only now do Iker look like they could be in a little bit of bother by Born for Victory. We could lose our first team, but all 64 players here still alive.
But you know what? It's also because of the circle, right? Everyone would just say, hey, we are good here. Everyone got the circle. We'll stay and wait for the next shift. I feel like this is still the tendency and the trend in this region. We don't see a lot of, rotation within the circle or like even pre-shift rotations. Like those things, we will probably only see them more at the higher level, but Born for Victory definitely aggressive in here. And we talk about the effects of maybe having the circle complementing and playing past so much, which means teams can still rotate to this. Like it can be a third party, fourth party situation just, within seconds.
In around ruins as well. Can you imagine a third or fourth party? That's a disaster in this location because there's nowhere to rotate to in ruins. It's so difficult, and that's why this area is so notoriously difficult to be a part of. And now Born for Victory do step up towards the roofs. They want a little bit of his higher angle. Knight does get tickled, but keep in mind, you also have Hilu off to the back end trying to stop these crossings from one building to the next. But by being so aggressive on the front line, Ico, they're not moving any of that. So actually, Hilu would be much better, I would argue, to be inside the fight and make this an equal 4v4.
And you know what? And also Hilu taking that side angle would be so important. They're just catching teammates off guard, but he also needs to make sure he is safe. Like right now, this pinch formation is, I can see where the ideas come from, but it's really hard to break through when Ica is very reliant on those hard covers. Like we kind of rely. The side of Born for Victory needs Ica to really slip to really get an opening, and it's not easy. That, but that is the angle. That will be the pinch. The multiple angles will pay off, and here comes the crash.
And now we've had Knock Born for Victory see the opening, but can they get inside before the revive comes through? Kryson is already there. He's trying to cut it off. Is now also Yevon taking down RLX in the back end of the fight, but in the front side is Iker striking, but they don't find the kills. It's Born for Victory with 2-for-1 situation right now, and with all of them dead, it's a quick flush. Iker completely out of his game as we still see that kill feed popping through. Phase 2 also shifted towards the northern side, but look around that congestion, not towards the west, but towards the east. That is a scattering of players.
Yes, that is a tricky circle. Once again, we have that river to separate, and then there's still a good amount of betting or guessing that you have to do. But you can see B4V there. That fight was wrapped up so quick. Even the revive came through quick. Like that was so clean. Like so often we see teams just stay around there, not sure what to do, but they just made it so clean, and that is the strength of the team for sure. I think to be able to do that is harder than learning the macro game and thinking about rotations. Like those things will come through, and so that is actually the natural strength of that team. Like right now they're off on that western edge, so they need to find a way in, because going through some very open fields around Headshot Hills is not easy at all, and you may come into areas of controls like Rozok, for example. Rozok Hill even school, if there's like people coming in to claim it after that looting phase, is not an easy rotation from that position where they fought.
I agree. I think that for sure, when you look towards the positions of where you fight, you need to also understand that when you finish that fight, though, where do you rotate to next? And particularly around here, where there is that congestion of players, of course, Yemen finding that confirmed kill, I believe, onto RLX. But you do have to be careful of that shift potentially around those barrel holes. It does shift away, but out towards the northern side. And yes, that is still going to be the case, but more importantly, now the bridges come into play, because no one really is on that northern side. So if you can get across that early quick rotation, you stand a lot better chance of being able to not only have the pace in the zone, but also grab all of those kills. And that's what I already love to see coming through from Red and Black, a team that we want to see that aggression come out of.
And it's that as a prompt rotation, and I love it, because they were in position to keep an eye on the bridge so they can say, let's just cross straight away. That's kind of textbook, but we can see very typical type of white rotation coming in. People want to avoid going straight into the circle, so it's about catching these funnels on the edges, right? 1802 is in a position that can catch that funnel from this eastern side, as well as keeping sight lines towards the center from the high ground. Like that bit of the hill to the southwest of Stelba is very strong, but I always talk about that. Like, you really need to have very, very good game knowledge to make that work. Like, otherwise, like, you just can't see how you can make the most out of every ridge line, and this is also very expected here. Like, every team should be on the move. Who decides to stop really needs to make it count. Like, otherwise, you're just one step slower.
I mean, if you're going to stop, you need to find those kills. If you don't find the kills, you just get leapfrogged by that team who drive on past you or even decide to run you over. For example, taking down another of our legs, Guru OP, and the rest of his squad cannot catch a break. From Yemen now to the next is also Yemen on that rotation through. Wizard making even wider one, no, however, going inside that blue zone previously just to get some position high up in towards the North Hills. As you said, that southwest portion of Stalber, all of those high ground parts, so important here that Wizard are trying to take control of, because you have those visions onto those core compounds heading into the future of this game.
You know what? I actually don't like the fact that 1802 gave away where Wizard was holding and got into this compound. Like, they can have themselves really stranded when more teams come into the area. Like, instead, where Wizard really went through as a position that can allow you to farm, still keep info, and can rotate around. But seems like they went a little bit too far. Like, went for something that I don't know whether it's worth it, especially when they've got one knock now and the rest of the team extremely split. They will be struggling to find those angles to support, and that will be 1802 to continue to hold this down.
Yeah, I think it all came through from the fact that Dragon actually did crash the vehicle coming down off the hills. So I think you could see while Dika was moving in, Dragon was supposed to follow, but because there was no follow-up, Dika just falls down in that 1v4 situation, and Dragon and the rest of Wizard just decide to move further into the zone. Makes a lot more sense for them. As now Phase 4 comes onto our screens, that will be a decision of where that will rotate to see if 1802 can hold this compound, because I think, yes, it is crashable by teams. I think it's still very strong as a gatekeep position for a lot of those squads rotating in later on around that Yasnaya belt. As it does, though, continue to shift further inside the zone, and a lot more of those single buildings become a lot stronger, particularly I think towards that single building just along the main split of the road on towards that eastern side. Excuse me, you're actually going for.
This is such a hard circle. You really need to know every dip that you can. I've seen many games around here. I've analyzed for hours. There's certain radio towers that you can play. There's certain shacks. There's very tactical split that you can still do on that southern half, but you really need to know the map. Like, otherwise you're down to those certain compounds, you know, like this one where, excuse me, going to, if they can hold that down, that can be a game-winning compound, but Red and Black ain't going to give them that easy.
Excuse me, but taking through the kills, taking the knocks down, but red and black, we're talking about upsets. There's one right there, excuse me. Now out early on in his first match, but can red and black even hold it? Is even more come down on top of their faces. 2 knocks already there. They still have all 4 players up, more importantly, for the meantime. If they can just find a revive, they are going to need them. There's 1802 up in front of their faces themselves. Nemo will now be knocked, and Shoxy, the last one, it just feels a disaster. As now even, triple Wills fall straight away. Saw in the kill feed. Cyrax taking through another crucial team fight in triple. Unfortunately, not finding the team fight they needed, but they're not quite done yet. 2 knocks against them, born for victory. If they realize that these are 2 knock players, they might have been a little bit more aggressive, I think, with Hilo and Knight on the backside.
But you can see there's some indication of teams not knowing what else to take other than buildings. That's why they really contest it so much. But I can't disagree with that either. But knowing how to get in with the timing, that's so important. Seems like red and black will get pushed after all. I mean, that was 3 knock onto that team. That is an opportunistic push that needed to come through. 1802 continue to reign and lead the charts for the teams that's playing today. Cyrex pushed away triple. We talked about these 2 teams having a good position, but we have loads of high hopes. B4V, ever so aggressive though.
B4V, they lose 1-for-1 trade, but still, a cable was not revived yet. Now also Prince is down. It's 2 remaining. Hilu, the revive is coming through. Will it be a beautiful grenade? Will it be a confirm? No, it should not be, and Hilu will be revived. The molly will not land. Kryzen on the opposite end. Also, Knight here as another grenade will be spent. A lot of utility just to try win these fights, but they're not finding any marks. And now Born for Victory is a 4v2 situation. It don't look so good anymore here for the rest of Cyrax. 1 fight too many. His hype will now fall inside the smoke. On the backside as well will drop, and it's only going to be a confirm. Now the Cyrax solo trying to run away. The cable will go nowhere.
And you know what? Born for Victory. His is a very good team. Like when it comes to fight and the decisiveness, they are so confident. They would just push and push and push, and whoever doesn't have the heart to take that pressure, they will go down. And you can't have any hesitation against that team. You can't even give them an opening, right? But of course, we are waiting for the next level of transformation of this team to be the team that can really wrap games up, right? Taking more placement points. When we're looking through, like, how is not even the top half? We're talking about every top 26 teams. They've got the lowest amount of placement points. So that is a really huge learning point for them. But Conqueror here, let's not forget about them. They are the other squad that we really need to show up.
Really big surprise, because when you think about Danoki, you think about Snowboy, these are players to Soka that you would expect from the spring split, having a strong showing, coming now into Fall Split, through also the fact of the PMNC too. They would be good. They would be higher up on the rest of this leaderboard. It's not to say they're a bad team, but in this competition, they're nowhere near the top of that leaderboard. They're way far down. In fact, when you look at that leaderboard, Tarzan, you have to look all the way to 25th position to find them.
Yes, and that is actually disappointing so far. But let's not forget, they've got 54 points so far. So that is 16 points more than what Most Wanted had before yesterday. So, like, we could see the potential from these teams still. Like, and after all, game 1 pacing, very important. Like, often, like, teams may just lose that confidence if they can't bounce back in that first game. But look at Danoka's position. Very important to alleviate that pressure.
They look for a third knock, potentially, is also you saw Yuta go down off the backside. Pew 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 is very low, and so is that solo Danoka on the front side. A little bit too hasty, will be confirmed alongside the rest of KLR, as Wizard will claim them, and alongside their Conqueror UK, Ari does strike the final one through. Born for Victory, Hilu also going to drop Snowboy, but this is a problem that Conqueror really have here, is they're taking literally 3 different teams at this point. Yes, they cleared out one of KLR, but they still are Born for Victory off the backside. They're on the edge of zone. More importantly, they should be clearing up this fight with Shoot to survive first.
It's very tricky. Like, that edge position, you always need to think about the other side of the circle. So utility is not only to to be deployed against a team pushing them is every defensive angle from the back, but they will continue with this fight. S2S can't find the entry point because Conqueror, although they've received the pressure, still holding this edge strong.
Oh man, I just feel like that's a mistake coming through from Shoot to Survive. Trying to go for the revive at a very punishable position you just saw someone fall down in from your team. I think you two should have gone a little bit further into zone, maybe actually could have lived, and unfortunately for that mistake, Shoot to Survive down in 9th position. That's all they're going to grab, 29th position on that leaderboard at the end of this game so far, and 1802 only going to look to claim more, but a solo of Alternative Mini coming in who struck the first knock of the game, getting caught backside, barely goes to 1 HP, looked like they could go for the revive, looked like they could have gone or stopped the revives coming through from 1802, could have gone for that scored white, but because of those extra damage coming through from the blank side, might have just saved 1802's skins. Here is now annoyed coming through the window. Cute should get knocked. No, they do walk back barely in time. It wasn't cooked to perfection. And now Mini, they're position aware, and now so low again.
And that's just extremely tricky, still holding on by a sliver of health, but is this worth it? 1802 need to know the map so well, already got info, otherwise they can't make it into Soto to get more points. That's finally the wrap up, 7 seconds remaining. How are the vehicles looking? That will be the key question. Which spot can we take? How is it looking in that entry spot? What is the car formation? As a trio now, although they've got 9 kills, they need to take more, but the game plan needs to be already established.
Encourage Victory also trying to step themselves in. I think a little bit of a stretch for 1802. They were far away from the zone. It makes it so hard, but we still find one of the Yemen anyways. They do look to maybe take the last one. Rolex is on their own, but so is Panuxi, and they are running in into everyone here. It's the rest of 1802 just trying to find somewhere, but it's not going to work like that. Cute, you are not going to take them with your beauty, my friend. They will only shoot you dead. 1802 out now in 6th position. And Born for Victory taking even more kills in this game so far. I think for them, you can see already on 10, Conqueror on 8. Massive games for these two squads, but they need to now survive just a little bit more to get those placement points too.
A lot is the answer.
It is.
Esports, they started this tournament decently. I still remember they were on that top fragging board as well, and they've been kind of laying dormant since. Will this be the bounce back when they needed those points? Really close to Conquer UK when it comes to those standings around the mid 50 range, but look at that. They will continue to deliver some work, and that will be Yemen, unfortunately, down, and BVOV will continue to hold this more than strong. They are dominating.
But 25th position, Conquer UK buff here, Tarzan. It feels like yesterday. If they can just take the game, we're seeing a most wanted double time on our screens for the final Sunday first match here at Erangel. What a whopper. Born for Victory, still trying to survive and made the revives happen to back up to 3 players, 13 kills. They're heading up to a potential 16, 31-point game if they take this match.
And you know what? The circle may dictate a lot of how this is going to go. And, you know, Conqueror as well, like, to be fair, so much experience combined, like, especially in the MENA region. So they need to take this one. They know the other team may not have the position, but that reaction hasn't come through quick enough. And that will be Conqueror still stuck in the original position.
But they have the zone, though. They do have the zone, but they gifted a little bit of space through. And now that pinch comes in from Born for Victory. So as Quaizen now moves in, the knock as well onto Ari resets them even more, forces them into this very punishable rock, which actually another grenade on target would end the hopes of Conqueror right here and now. Abby is trying to get into that angle, and as you can see, that is why also Knight is on the downside, and he sniped Ari once again, straight back down. And this is why we go for these knocks. This is why we go for these repositions here. Yes, it is risky, but now Abby going to drive over Snowboy. Quaizen does fall, but it's a 1v2 situation. Abby goes down, though. Hisoka, it's a 1v1, and suddenly it's turned. Ari should be revived here. The knock and the position is not there available tonight, but Knight can't go for these revives like Conqueror can.
Exactly, and I think that is the aggression really coming through a bit too much, though. Like, they're too greedy when it comes to this multiple angles, and now this is the problem when you crash into very, very predictable decision. So they may have a taste of their own medicine now. Is Nate City, but this other way around. And that they just land perfectly, and that will be down to a 1v2.
Hisoka also going so low. The nade again. Knight will not give up. That nade strikes him so low, though, those vehicles.
Wow.
But it's back to a 1v1. Knight so low. Ari is not there to revive Hisoka, but did Hisoka make the right choice to bring Ari back into this game a third time in the end game? Ari needs to step up. 10 kills, a 25-point game on the precipice of it. But they strike for the kill. Knight almost gives it away to Ari. Steps back up inside the smoke, sprays back down. The DP not enough. Goes back again. Ari stepping up. Hisoka going in for the vision, trying to bait out that kill point, yes, but more to try execute Knight. They go for the knock. Hisoka maybe did find that one in time, but Ari puts the smoke wall out in front, makes it even harder. The phase 7 zone clicks into phase 8. And Knight and Ari, the smoke is the only thing that defends them.
And down to only first dates as well. So that will be basically the fate for both players. But to be fair, like Knight can't really get out of this easy. It will be about a landscape play. It will be about maybe using smoke as decoys. And both players don't have the zone. So there's some certain level of predictions that can be made. Knight is now on the move, trying to make it to the next cover.
He goes in. He gets down. He's not quite in the zone just yet. He needs to crawl a bit further, but he's way closer than Ari. And now he's suddenly got himself a position potentially on the edge of his phase 8. 5 seconds before the blue zone conquers down onto Conqueror UK. And Ari is still on the edge of that hill, has not moved. Knight has that low ground position, and we talked about it. Low ground beats high ground if you can get a pre-fire on board. Ari does snake down. That zone is slightly quicker, though it will catch up. Ari is just edging outside of the danger zone as Ari steps even further through, still 20 meters away from safety, continuing to move, has to move back through to the ground level against Knight.
That is going to be down to just pixels of difference, and that is just so intense. Ari had his experience through the MENA scene, but Knight definitely delivering alongside his squad. He will find him, and that will be the game.
Oh, and Ari thought that they had it, but they just didn't have it quick enough. And Born for Victory, a mega game for them. And I think with that game, that's like the qualification type of game for a team like Born for V. And I think for considering that now they get that 30-point game, they can relax a lot more, as we said. Yes. But a team like Conqueror, a massive game for them as we check out those match rankings, but they do have a little bit more work to do, and that's why we said the difference. It could have been so much more for them.
Yes, but Born for Victory, like that is the game that would just send them straight in. Yes, aggression, everything's related to that aspect. Those boxes have been checked. Like, we need those placement points, we need those end game, and they delivered in this last final day. That game itself will send them into the triple digit range, now sitting on 104 points. That itself would place them at least at 5th position, and that is insane. Like, that was a great play, and suddenly we are losing another spot to some of these other teams to take.
Yeah, it's unfortunate here because you got to really look towards those teams that played yesterday. Of course, the Void now going to be on the Danger Zone example, still playing, so it's not all over for them. But they only got 1 point out of this game. They're going to need a way of not more if they want to keep themselves inside that top 14 because they ain't there anymore.
And you know what? Like, sometimes it's scary. Like, the way that we can be surprised could not be the pleasant one where teams bounce back. I mean, the points need to go to someone, right? Like, if the bottom teams play like that, then maybe the top teams can stay completely still. Like, we talked about how Spill yesterday, like, started yesterday with, like, at 3rd place, and they got, like, single-digit points in the first 3 games combined. And the last game, they strike and took a 2nd place and took out many teams that were needing that extra point or two to go into maybe the 90-point range. So it's an open book. I don't know what to say, but that was a great way to start the last day of the group stage.
An absolutely insane way to start this final day of group stage, but there's still 3 more games to come. Sanhok is the next on our tables, and it is going to be a meal of a game. And we're back here once again to the PMCO UK Fall Split 2021 season. Myself, Howland Wolf, and joined beside me, the beautiful Professor Tarzan, and even beautiful, of course, to hear Xiaomi, where you can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. You can see it on the bottom of your screen, man. It looks pretty darn good, Tarzan.
Oh, I would want one. Like, to be fair, I was thinking about it actually. Like, maybe a bit of an upgrade of a phone, and I want to think, like, what do I want this phone to do? And like, that's the moment when all these phones that have been so kind to sponsor, our events really pop into my mind, and I actually give it serious consideration. But that is now done when it comes to that topic. This game, though, man, like, we're talking about points and maths.
Yes.
Very small differences, and we are trying to place ourselves into the shoes of teams like Arena 51, TRG, Most Wanted, when they just kind of missed that 90-point mark after yesterday's play. And we were thinking, if we were them, we want the very bottom teams to take some marks, but not too many. Okay, take some points, but not too many. Those who are already above us to soak up the rest. But you can't always just hope for that. Like, seems like it's the exact opposite that's happening right now after that game one.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's had, of course, a chance to play every single other team so far. And now, yes, it's going to be against Group B and C, their chance to shine. Yes, on what I would argue is probably mentally, like, wise, it's like advantage, I would say, by being on the 6th day, because you know where you need to get. But also to the extent that it is at disadvantage, and if you do see a high threshold, it can make you feel like it is too hard to grasp and to get to. So it does have its trade-offs. However, you do see where a team like Born for Victory, they take a good game in that first match, a 31-pointer, they just qualify through that first match alone. And I think that could be the case of a lot of these teams on the bubble, because it is so close in between all of these squads. I mean, you look at the points coming into today, it was only between 14th and 22nd, 15 points between them, 14th and 24th, only 20 points between those squads.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, now that you talk about Born for Victory, it's not just the fact that they won that game. They were actually one of those teams that I feel like has been the most consistent. Yes, consistent when it comes to having good placement points, but this playstyle was very defined. You can see there's a very obvious strength. It's almost like when you draw a chart of different like criteria, like of ability. Aggression is always A+. Yeah, the star diagram is like A+ in aggression. That is something that you can rely on. Like, and they will continue to do that, and that means they can use that to really outclass some of the other teams in these skirmishes, and then just fix other things on the side. And it's coming through, and it's great. It's really a pleasant thing to see.
I think for sure it is great to see teams coming into their own. And I think the most important thing we really wanted to see, not just a qualification of a good team to PMPL, but a journey of all of these teams through the competition. And we wanted to see teams who maybe weren't the best tip-top shape at the start actually become and evolve into the best teams that they can be by the end of that tournament. It feels a little bit like Pokemon, where you level your Pokemon up to level 100 and they look massive. But I mean, to get a super XY evolved Pokemon team here, we've got to take a little bit of time, because I think that these teams are still evolving at that.
Oh, definitely. We're not just talking about evolving. It's about maintaining shape. And sometimes it's time to bounce back. I've never thought I'm going to use this on certain teams. So Triple Sports Club are not doing very well. Like, right now, they are running out of time. Like, of course, they still got some points to kind of buffer it, but they're really running extremely low when we're talking about a team that were below them, that being Concrete UK, now bouncing back. Like, I've never thought that they could be close from being eliminated.
True. I think that is a surprising thing, right? There is so many of these household names, these staple squads, that are on the edge, that are on the precipice of being pushed off the mountain by these newer teams. And albeit these newer teams, they're the ones who've been stepping up. These new dogs, they know how to play a game of PUBG, and they have certainly been showing it against the old ones. That's for certain. And I think we are going to see that increasingly through games 2, 3, and 4, just like how we saw the ending. When you think about that staple team of Conquer UK being taken down by Born for Victory in that 1v1 situation. I think it is these new styles of play coming through as well that maybe aren't the best, but they work. And with a little bit more refining, I think we could start to see that evolution come through. As we said, the UK region really heating up and becoming known as a very aggressive region of that.
Yeah. And speaking of these teams that we kind of mentioned from the start, I really want to bring up the mindset thing again, and where the mental state really sits, right? When you're a new team, everyone would expect you to do a little bit more terribly in a way. Like if you do terribly, people would say that's fine, you are new. But expectation can sometimes really hold you down. That is the weight of the expectation and demand. Like if you were, you've been to PMCO, you're so close to PMPL, you've played with the PMPL team, then it's not only others, you can ignore everyone else, but maybe there's that bar inside of you when you just say to yourself after certain fights, man, I can't believe I died to them. Like these things are very tricky to maneuver through. Like it takes a lot of strengths beyond what we can see in gun skills to really have that narration that boosts you instead of stumble you.
I think for sure, when you look at now these teams, we said about that refining, learning how to really diagnose these stumbles that they're making in these games, that's something I really want to see come through from these teams. Because as we said, if they can find these problems that they're making, and albeit with the help of looking back on the VODs as well, and then they can readjust into what could be, of course, these final games, into also the finals themselves if they make it. That's what I'm really looking forward to. And I think also that unknown factor is always something exciting when you look to the likes of Gaijin and also Rescue, who we haven't seen so far, and how those teams adapt to those two squads as well. As we do head through on to Sanhok next, you're going to have to do some adapting, because it always feels like this map in particular, Tarzan, it is quite a wild one at that.
Oh, it's extremely wild though. We've seen a lot of even hot dropping coming through. Boot camp is where I'm going to keep my eyes. I know it's been pretty busy, like on every Sanhok map, so I want to see that. But of course, like given that it's the smallest map as well, there might be a lot of hunting that these teams can do in this go time, and we will have this beautiful one, the last Sanhok match of the group stage.
Last Sanhok in the group stage. Breaks my heart a little bit, but at least I've got still 4 more to come next week. And it breaks my evil heart a little bit more after we finish those, for sure. As albeit the final playing path of the group stage, Sanhok lays itself down and goes on towards more this eastern side and towards docks here. Now, a lot of these teams, of course, wanting to drop towards the southwest, the northwestern island. And yes, Sanhok isn't very huge. This is still manageable. But I think it does bring a little bit of more interest in the fact that that whole portion of mainland Sanhok is available, because we didn't see a lot of these teams make those wide late spots down to docks, down towards Camp Charlie, Bantai, and maybe we get to see a little bit of change.
Yep, and you know what, like B4V, like you cannot give them even more. Like that, they've had enough momentum. And Painan fight, if my memory serves me correctly, they've been taking these fights nice and quick, clean as well. Like, and so no one's challenging that, and I think it's the right thing to call, right? And what I would see this time around as well would be for Conqueror, because for Conqueror UK, I think both of their games, they get to play around Ruins, which is very close to where they drop. But this time around, that is on edge. So they need to take more rotations, and that, you know, Sanhok has been so important for them when it comes to getting some points in this tournament. And this is a different type of map, but they are coming in with a very interesting split as well. And that will be a huge 2-2, so that may work out for them. But I never thought it would be shoot to survive to open fire first, and Yemen is being slowed down.
But Wizard did take one knock on to shoot to survive too, and actually Wizard even have alternative esports here as well, because all of these teams on the south side, they dropped late, but when you drop late, you can't adjust as much because there isn't anywhere to go. You're on the edge of the map itself, and as a result, alternative esports, they find themselves equally in a little bit of a wide predicament. Real Joker does know they are there, does have the Uzi, 25 bullets in the clip, does not have the extended mag though, so no 35 available. There's also the nadirs there. Kaneki continuing to make those sound cues. I feel like Kinetic, they would be better off just making less sound in this situation because they're giving a lot away to Joker, and Joker hasn't even moved. Joker just has to wait.
And this is going to be tricky. I think it will be down to support as well. Like both teams need to guess, like both players, I should say, guess where each other's support has been. But you know what? There's also these guns down, and this may be terrible for both of these players because coming very close to us, this position might be shoot to survive so that they can shoot to kill these two. They may not be able to hold this down, but this cluster, this area has been so chaotic, and Triple cannot lose this one early game.
Already 4 dead so far in the game is also Kaneki did fall in that 1v1 engagement. So actually as a result there, the rest of Wizard, they step up Dragon as well to help to confirm the kill on a back end. Triple, though, they lose another one of these knocks. And if you remember back, Triple, they didn't have a good game one. Triple, they were the team that we came in, coming into Group B, coming into Group C here. They should have easily been able to grab these points, and they should have easily been able to find themselves into the finals, but this has not been the case. An example, UK, one of these other PMNC representatives who now look to do just that, who look to dispose of one of the favorites in the tournament.
I mean, example knows how to take these early fights. We've seen them again and again. They can just take a clean team fight early on, and now that they're so aware, very bold to take these splits to pinch this, I actually appreciate it, but they need to deliver though through the smoke. Nas will find one.
Naz takes one back, but there's a lot more to do. It's now 2 more. Oh, example UK look to find the revenge onto their fallen comrade, but breaking from the back end behind the shelf, I'll be surprised, and assassinates another of example UK, and I see them left in their own with nowhere to go. And look, even a red and black moving in as a third party. We're not quite done yet, as Icy Cakes one knock. That's a disaster here for Triple, because now they come down to 2 players as well, and here comes the third party. They convert one in. It is a raid. It is a squad of hopefuls. There's 2 kills already for their efforts, making now a third as Naz will fall, and it's just complete destruction.
Yeah, seems like everyone got some study going, right? Like what reviews, all that stuff. Hopefully this is the result of that, like some aggression coming through, and to really target down some team would be sometimes what you exactly need to do. Like you want some teams to not get points. The best way is to kill them. Conqueror may be able to continue what they've started. After all, it's a decent game one, so close from taking chicken. The early 2 kills coming through are is a bit too far for the support though.
We've lost 18 players in the first 5.5 minutes alone. This is insane when it comes to Sanhok.
Crazy. I feel like it's either they haven't done enough homework, so it becomes very chaotic, or they've done some, and then everyone's trying to, go for a special plan, and end up just fighting. Everyone's ending up fighting everyone.
20 players now dead, as well, going to fall amongst the ranks of them. Conqueror losing 2 knocks as well. And keep in mind now as well, the best born for victory, and RLX still pinching in between them. Now, RLX are down to a solo player, but Guru, they can't really do much with those knocks, as it is going to be a 2-2 split. I feel like Guru actually would have been better off trying to find some form of escape. You see the knocks come through, you know it's Conqueror pinning you down because you see that kill feed. And well, even if it does say under the team name, you know that it's Conqueror in that team slot, as we talked about previously.
Yes.
So yes, actually, as a result, you should have been moving backwards. You should have been aware of this situation, and both for victory, not aware of that fight whatsoever. They just lose Kryzen with a grenade in his hand, nothing to really answer, and Hilu as well gonna fall, potentially barely gets away as Conqueror striking back. Hilu will fall, and that's 2 already knocked, 1 dead for B4E.
You know what? B4V needs to be stopped. And this is revenge time. Conqueror need this more than ever. And you can see the sign of the competition going down as well, like Triple not finding the games that they want. This is important for Conqueror. And that will be the sightlines coming through as well. B will be a little bit too careless in that cross. And that will be Snowboy saying it's go time.
It just came all through from Kryzen's over-aggression here, and now with only one left player remaining, a second confirmed through. Our Alex also going to die, means it's 5 through kills so far for Conqueror UK, and it could be a 6 or a 7th here as Hilu is still to drop, and Knight is the solo player remaining. Hisoka does get knocked though, going outside the smoke will be confirmed. A little bit of carelessness as well coming through from Conqueror on that flank side play, not respecting the full squad, but we are aware now that it is going to be a Knight player up there on the rest of B4V, so we need to be prepared. They need to now close together as that trio. We do confirm that 6 kill through, and you can see the duo as well off the back end of Conqueror. They are closing in Danoka and Ari off the back end. I don't think Knight notices.
You know what the problem would be though, like to have them generate so much noise when they've still got a center more towards that northeastern side. Like going up this hill can be extremely tricky if they draw too much attention, but they actually will need to clear this out first, but need to be very careful when it comes to potential third party coming through, and that'll be Ari slowly getting that position to maybe finish this last one. Knight still has that clutch factor in him, that not just him, across the whole squad. Now that they are in a kind of decent spot, maybe it's time for some crazy 1v3 plays.
It's up to him. If he can do it a second time would be insane if Knight could pull this off. Ari is stepping up though. Again, the front member is also the alternative. Do leave unaware. One member of Triple left remaining. Triple, they are going to desperately have to survive here if they want some form of even anything inside this top 14. The zone phase 2, however, will go towards the main portion of Sanhok itself. So, yes, we talked about Conqueror cleaning this up. It's not going so well for them, however. Snowboy is very low. Ari is also knocked. Knight almost got knocked there from the backside. Snowboy as well makes it a 1v1, and Knight might just clutch it. It's a 1v3. Danoka goes for the revive. Knight using now the med kit. That grenade is not going to hit anyone anywhere. Is now that revive does confirm itself through. Knight as well looking to confirm away Snowboy. Wrong side of the rock though. Snowboy will feel damage, will be popped down to half HP. Snowboy should fall. Ari is back on their feet. Danoka stepping down with a free fire, but Danoka getting fired back upon by Knight. Goes straight on back. Danoka even lower. Knight stepping behind the rock once more. Here comes Ari, though still not healed. Is low, but we don't need the help. It's also Danoka will 1v1. Finally take them out, but it took too long. We do lose Snowboy.
It's not easy. It's like it's someone that you need to clear out before going, and they've tried to do it in a smart way from that split, but it's just, I would just say Knight did a lot of damage to the team because he played it well. Like right now, Conqueror need to think how to play around that position. They are surrounded by a lot of positions that can be held very strong if you have the numbers. Now that they're down to a duo, they need to think, right? And they need to think about, okay, where do these teams like going? Do we need to play here to maybe farm a little bit, but can we hold it if they are still a full squad? All these questions need to be asked and be answered by and via a very prompt game plan. And those vehicles would be very key as well, like for these team go to grab even more. And 1802, let's not forget about them. After all, still very consistent in getting some points. And once again, like having a way to shine through different stages of the game would be my impression of them so far.
I think 1802, just with their positioning alone, is always in a way where we look for that mid-game strength. I think it slightly falls off for 1802 towards the end game. You saw it in that first match, right, where you do have that strong position initially, but they take so many fights that they fall behind the zones, and then they get caught making a too aggressive rotation just for a position inside. I think is where we didn't have to play so aggressive driving in, and I think that over-aggression in late game does lead to those mistakes. But when they perform perform well, you can see that they perform really well. I mean, you only have to look at the points, as we say, where they were in that top page of the leaderboard, even after all of those 12 games played by 16 teams yesterday. And that says something to their dominance and their consistency, more importantly, through the 8 games they had already played.
Absolutely. And like there's quite a few teams that I'm worried for right now. I feel like Triple Sports Club may not. It's just a gut feeling. Yeah, they are strong. They're not showing up as strong as we want them to. And I'm pretty sure they're a bit pissed off at like how they've been losing some of these points like through the days. Whether they can turn that into good results, the type of energy that can drive you to play better, I really don't know. Like, so that will be 1 point for sure. Like Cyrex Esports, once again, playing conservatively, but they need to get these points now and not later. Like otherwise, it will be even harder to say. How can you guarantee to grab maybe just like 14, 15 points next game? There's no guarantee to that. Like you need to average 7, 8 points per game. That is like 4th place with no kills, and you couldn't even call that bad result.
I mean, to be fair, though, this zone headed in towards more central portion of the mainland Sanhok. And boot camp, still inside of the zone. I think actually, to be fair, though, not boot camp itself, but you look towards just the south end, boot camp hill. This is what I would love to see teams really control that location. Heading into zone, it's just on the edge. And there are a lot of teams still to come from that south and from that west side.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? There's so many edge positions that can be played, and that with Dragon holding that is a little bit sad. I feel like Septis tried to tank it for like a very sensible duration to enter with the car, so they got some speed, but won't be too predictable. But this is actually just a little bit of play style to just farm a little bit more on that outside when you've got more teammates towards the center. Dragon will take that one for the Wizard Esports. Really tough to watch there, but you know what, sometimes that is just the other person being more cheeky, and just somehow running into him in that split second will be just very decisive.
It just feels so unfortunate because here the rest of Triple Sports Club, you have to only look back just 2-3 weeks, one of the top teams in the UK. Anyone would have said it, Tarzan. But now we just don't look the same team, and I don't know what it is internally with them, but it has to be something internal, because externally, we know that the skills are there, but it's just not showing through in this tournament.
I have like a hypothesis, or maybe it was just like also going through like service. I feel like they're very pissed off as how some of the other teams been playing, that they, before tilting someone else, they might have borderline tilted themselves. Like sometimes you can only do like focus on what's in your control. I'd say that I have no doubt to say that they are extremely talented in mechanics, and they've got a great track history and having great results. Like just forget about the things that don't help you and then focus on those things. Like they are one of those teams that can take a 25 kill chicken dinner, and I would be just fine with that, thinking that is also sensible, like based on what we know of them. So it's his time, and they've got 2 more games. It's still completely doable. Yeah. We've seen what happened yesterday.
We saw the massive games of Miramar so far. I think if any map really shows it, I feel like Miramar is like that common map to see those high kill games. Whereas also here Yemen might be not seeing Miramar just for a little bit, might be a bit quicker than expected. Is here Wizard do come around, and 4 players Mizagi that's solo. And I think the Wizard, another one of these aggressive teams who they might not have been on the same track record as the likes of Triple Sports Club, X-Courage, of course, if you do wonder why we talk about them so much. But more so Wizard stepping up as a new team, not so new players, however, but they form a new squad overall, and it seems to really be working for them again. Yes, they weren't on that top page by the end of those 12 games played yesterday by 16 of those squads, but they were very close to it, and they were at the top before those 12 games were played.
Exactly. And you know what? Like, Red and Black, they just played pretty decent as a trio as well. Like, once again, Shoxy not in this one, so Red and Black need to make miracle happen, and that will be the magical trio if they can make this work. 4 kills on board now, not too shabby at all, and that will be Ica being too blunt. Like, you really can't challenge this out compounds solo, right? Like the Overwatch needs to be there. You need to establish more than one positions, and it's a little bit of over rotation as well. Like considering it's phase 4, even if you claim it, to leave it is extremely hard. Like maybe there will be a lot more teams surrounding it, and suddenly they can third person peek you, and then you would just get yourself into a position that is very hard to get out of. So rotating around it would be a better call, and they are going for it to that south side with that relative high ground against this compound would actually be a pretty decent choice.
I just feel that with so many teams, with so many players falling down, we have gone to what has been a stalemate portion here on Sanhok. And we have got to a point where we saw, 18 players fall 20 really in the first 6 minutes. And then now we've had to look for another 10, 12 minutes, in fact, for only another 10 to fall.
Yeah, it's just extremely hard to predict. I feel like teams have caught each other off guard at this point, so it will be that very mental factor to keep the pressure and just sometimes don't complicate it. I didn't think too much. You've got one game plan, play as one, and then you can maybe make it work. Conquer UK Force at 10th, but after all, they've gotten themselves at least 7 kills. So that is, with that one placement point, they at least got 8 kills. Very decent growth still through this final day.
Of course, they still pick up plenty when it comes to the second game. A consistency could still be their alternative. Also, cleaning up KLR means the KLR down to what will only be a duo. They did try to split for that, but instead, yes, they take Conqueror away, but they lose also 2 of their own. Also, their Ibra and Welcome will be saying welcome to Miramar and Ozjun shortly. This Wizard as well to come down from the hilltop, continuing to pressure on those kills. But it's all about these teams moving through to this next phase. And 1802, who had been sat here all game long, Tarzan, now have the position inside the zone.
Well, it's time to adjust the split as well. Like right now, if you have sometimes one compound and one player against a full squad on any side, that can be extremely lethal. As you can see, the resetups coming through, they want to go heavy into caching the funnel on the north and western side from those gunshots that's passing through. So that is a great adaptation from them. Yemen yet to wake up further. They had a bit of a decent showing, but that is not enough yet. But Ica as well just kind of lost, in the streams of this tournament and can't seem to play decisively at all. Like down to 3 players, got 190 meters to go, and they are still very, very, I wouldn't say chicken, but you kind of get where I'm going with that.
Undecided, right? We don't really have a clear plan of action on, yes, we're inside the zone. Great. But where do we go from now? We don't really know, guys. And that's the problem I think has been the case with so many of these teams through this PMCO UK. And I think that's probably the biggest factor that I would like to see teams improve on, particularly heading through to the finals, not just in today, about showing that, yes, they can actually continue to be able to improve. Also, improving their 1802, as we said, the consistency once again showing is to take one as well as Cyrus to jump in onto Kurd Victory. It's Kurd Victory inside the shack. They will be a little bit tricky to get inside of the building, though. The entrance is on the wrong way. And, there are buildings and people there shooting from them around them. And it's unfortunately there for Cyrax. Just too much movement to have to make. Unfortunately, Kurd Victory spot them out with the sound cues. Cable now on the edge of zone. Prince knocked, as that will be a double from Cyrax falling down. Wizard confirming through the rest of Iker. The play zone confirming that final player is Red and Black. I just want to hold on to them as well here, Tarzan. 6 kills already. I mean, when we talked about these players playing like they have nothing to lose, Red and Black feel like they're on the best day yet that they've played.
Yeah, and it's so weird. It's like they play better when they're a trio. Maybe it's about finding a fourth that really works with them, but that could be just, all chance. Like, I might just come up with something that's not there, right? But we can see it's so important to think about rotations, and sometimes you don't want to over-rotate. Like, if it's just enough for the zone, sometimes that's fine. Like, Cyrex makes them mistake by over-rotating. When they've got a spot in the circle, they just crash somewhere that's hard to reset before the next shift happens and didn't get the circle anyway, even if they got that. Wizard, though, they've been playing this clearing style, and this is the chance that they may actually get cleared or running down the hill, but the preparation was there, so damage wasn't as bad as it could be.
They still lose Nox, though. That blue zone is still in their faces, so Dragon can't really make that revive. They have to continue moving. Alternative is there to punish. They do strike them down, and Wizard will fall. Despite it was a decent rotation, it's just too late, too little here, as Alternative up to 2 kills so far themselves. 2 players remaining for them, red and black, also continuing to step further down into the pit of players inside phase 7, but 2 already fall, and now we're down to even less. Zaza that's solo, but he is the furthest behind. That is the only reason why he has not been knocked. Raccoon also going for the healing inside phase 7 will not last long.
Oh my lord. And that's also Kurdish victory, making it to top 4. That will put them in around mid-80s and will join that pack to make things really, really hard for those teams that played yesterday as well. And 1802, man, they are in, but they want to keep playing the best PUBG that they can be, and I really love how they've been doing that. Red and Black also trying to be confident, but that will be their run done. But after all, a pretty impressive game.
I mean, if they have 2 more big games, we could maybe see them clinch a result, but they're going to need big games, because I think that they needed those placement points really on the even higher end to confirm anything, considering they only started the day with 30. They did fall down earlier in game 1, 1802, but they are on a tear here. Tarzan, 11 kills, and they're looking for that 12. They spy out Raccoon. They just need the angle. They will cook it. They will find it, and Raccoon looks a little bit like they're in danger. That rock does protect them. There's still Bunzet moves in, solo, Bolo going in, but the zone will clean them up. They don't give anything over. And 1802, they take the victory.
But Kurdish victory, though, 13-point game. That is huge. Let's talk about how huge it is. We talk about maybe 89. We've got 2 teams with 89 points, one with 88, just waiting around there, right? And with that game, that was 13 points. So they went from 75 to 88 points to tie, right? So that is very, very close. And we also need them to, if I was some of the teams from yesterday, I need some of these teams to stop getting any points. It's not even 1. You can't even get 1 point, otherwise everything can be screwed.
I think it is so many of these teams who are on the precipice of qualifying now making those points happen. If I'm the likes of Arena 51, if I'm like Most Wanted, I'm shaking in my boots watching tonight's games, and I'm praying that something miracle happens on Miramar, on Erangel, that maybe someone smashes their phone, or a sister or brother stamps on top of it. It's happened to me. But I mean, to be fair, Tarzan, it's not looking to be the case. I think that it is these teams looking to continue to step up, and I think that's why we also see some of those team names, those household names, as we talked about, Born for Victory, Triple Sports Club, Example UK, all falling down gives way to that rise. And I think as a result, you probably do see a lot of those teams who played yesterday might just see themselves eliminated.
Yeah, and it's actually crazy to know how many points will still go into players' pockets. Like, if there's any, sometimes that's a crazy thing, right? You don't want them to take points. You don't want these to take points. You only want them. Yes. But sometimes it's still a huge amount of points altogether. Sanhok was the map where you can pray and say, have the blue take the point, right? But that game is a done deal. So we need to come back and see how that board's looking like. It's probably one of the closest Thomas that I've seen when it comes to how it looks like right now. We will be down to the difference of maybe just 1 or 2 points, not just for one team. We're talking about maybe a handful or 2 handfuls of teams. Like, that's insane, right? But that was a pretty packed game, and I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Absolutely insane game coming through, but we will see you guys on the other side when Miramar is up next. Welcome everyone back to the PMCO UK Fall Split 2021 season. Myself and Helen Wolf. Oh my god, I'm confused. Myself,
Yes.
Helen Wolf, and Professor Tarzan.
Brilliant.
Not a double of me. It's still
Would love
Professor
to try
Tarzan
that.
here alongside me, as well as our beautiful sponsor Xiaomi, where you can get a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. But as we head through to those overall standings, this is what excites me, Tarzan, because we are now seeing the formation of potentially our top 14.
You know what? We talked about maybe there's a point, like threshold, that these teams need to get. I feel like if you want to be safe, let's just say 100. Right? I think that is a
Right.
great like round off. And to be fair, now that we've only got 14 spots, right? Because we've got two teams already there, like in the
8
finals.
or 100.
I'd say 100 would be quite fair. So that means, like, I mean, for those who are watching who have already gotten, like, have all their games played, I know it sounds like a little bit sad, but these teams need to go to some of, like, these points need to go to some of these teams, and you can pray as hard as you want, but just look at the point separation within that page too. Like, I don't know. It's painful, like, first of all, to know that some of these teams won't make it. And there's also some situations where, excuse me, getting only 1 point in the past 2 games, suddenly being one of the strongest squads, they are looking shaky.
Right. And indeed, in the fact that we're looking at Conqueror in 13th, Most Wanted TRG, Arena 51, all in 11th, 10th, 9th position. What? Now 6 points maximum away from being eliminated. This is insane. Cyrax's not even there in qualification. There's so many teams Tarzan we thought would be in the finals, could easily see them there. They might just all not make it.
And I think it's so important, like, for these teams to look at how many teams that's in that bubble are those who got at least one chicken dinner. Like, we will first count that in the cases of ties, and then we will go down to look at placement points, then kill points. So, man, like, that is, I don't know what to expect. Like, it's absolutely insane. Very, very close, first of all, and I don't know. Like, I don't even know how I would feel if I'm the player. But to be fair, now that I said that, I kind of came with some ideas. Like, just let go. Like, we need an inspirational speech from one of the team. Like, some of them need to say one thing, and then they've got that one idea, and just go with it. Go with it.
I feel as well a little bit concerned here, of course, for the rest of Example UK. I mean, they were in 14th and now in 18th, 77 points. Not as scary, however, as overall these teams on this last page. I mean, ICURD, RLX, there is a world, I think even to an extent Red and Black, where you could see them there inside the top 14, but they all need to have really good next 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, after yesterday, statistically,
I'm not going to knock
yes.
it.
Yeah, the answer is yes. Like, after it's what, man. Like, so after all, like, I'm happy with what we're seeing. Like, I don't see any particular teams, maybe just 1 or 2, that feels really like they've got no chance. Like, I think yesterday was, like, although chaotic, was the most encouraging. I'd say, like, to see teams like to continue playing. I think that shows some sportsmanship. Like, it shows, like, grit. You need loads of frigging grit, like, to be successful anywhere you go anyway. And, like, to see some of that to come through, that is undeniable through the way that they play. I'm excited for them, not just for this tournament. You know, it is a transferable quality and skill in your character, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, 2 more games. Yeah.
Real world out there, it's a big, big place. And if you can take some of those skills from PUBG, you can put them down in that real world. That is what you want at the end of the day, on top of everything here, Tarzan. As we do move into that 3rd game, Miramar here up next, the final one of the group stage, of course. We've seen a little bit too much of Los Leones and not a lot here about Northwestern side. I'm praying, man, that we start to see something out of El Pozo.
You know what? All water treatment. I love that one. Christabel, just give
True.
me something like different. So we need to see as we have some very interesting one this time round. I'll have to make again. I think that is the Oasis. So we got a pretty vertical playing path from north to south, and so that is
Los
different.
Leones.
So that is great. So Los Leones is still probably reachable, and but that will allow at least these teams to have a very different one. Not quite vertical, but it's still basically top to bottom, a little bit different
It's down.
this time around. Yes, downward plane path, and but El Port's a little bit far, and the Chumacera, we'd love seeing that. Not going to be the case now. So this is a tricky way to play, especially when there's teams that can still reach Picardo, but will have a good amount maybe fighting around still, like Los Leones to El Azhar seems to be.
Don't say it.
Oh.
Don't say it. I don't want to see a zone where Los Leones is even there. See if I see a phase 1 zone and Los Leones is even remotely inside, even the L from the Lost. I don't want to even notice that. We've had 5 days so far, 5 games worth of Los Leones. I am so desperate and hungry just to see something different. I mean, this is the biggest map in PUBG Mobile.
Do you know what? Like, I'll bring it even further. Like, for the other things that I've been casting those events, I also got Los Leones.
It's you, Tarzan.
It's me. And then
No!
I think for the rehearsal that I had today
Tarzan!
as well, I also had that highlight like to play as just part of a demo for the rehearsal to be around Los Leones. So I don't know what's going on. There's something.
It's you, man. It's all
me.
you. Get it again.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, man.
I'm so distraught right now, Tarzan. I wanted to see no Los Leones, the final day, please, at the group stage. But it just doesn't give it to me. I feel like high in the bottom of the leaderboard. That's how I feel right now.
Yes, you know what? Like, what else am I feeling? Like, my bottom was clenching. Like when Kurt Victory was trying to like get that early knock and kill. If they get it, they tie with Arena 51 in TRG direction, just straight from that, right? So we're in that stage of the tournament, guys. Like, we will be looking for that.
Red and black, bro. Unfortunately, I hate to see this come through from a team that we said maybe they can make that run. It was always going to be a long shot, but after that Sanhok performance, it wasn't the worst in the world. They actually got second overall next to 1802's dominance. So if there could have been a way, I think there still is some way that red and black could make that happen, but you need to see the best ever performance out of Kesvi and Nemo in this entire tournament, in this one game alone, if they want to pull this off as a duo and grab multiple kills that are required of them. I just don't think it's going to happen, and I think we probably, as a result, see red and black fall, because if we don't get a good game here, there is no way, unless they come out with the biggest win you've ever seen in official PUBG Mobile esports, that they actually qualify for that final.
I'm thinking in my head, like, is there a way to even survive long enough? I think there could be. Like, I'm thinking about strategic tanking and just knowing the map so well. Just you play off one spot that you can come in late but still claim, but still got some power. Like, you need to only focus on those 1 or 2 things. Extremely key. Kurt Victory will actually lose one in a skirmish. Example team, we almost forgotten about them. We talk about their aggression. 77 points right now, and tied with Avoid, which have finished all their games, so that doesn't exactly matter. So, like, to be fair, I almost forgotten the fact that we will see some of these teams, feeling the pain.
I forgot about this.
Yeah, like, but this one, I would never forget, like, because I hate it. Like, it makes me feel bad.
No, don't hate it. I love it. I just wish it was better if it wasn't so poor. Like, if I could see a world where paragliding is something of no, it's just definitely not. Never mind. I thought it could be worth it in esports, but it's just not quite there yet.
Can someone clip that and make a very good clip out of it? I'll pay you for it. Like, reasons why I don't like the gliders. But you know what? Like, I think in certain times, like, okay, jokes aside, you should learn how to use it. Sometimes when you've got no choice, that is something that you really need to use to your advantage. And this is crazy here. We're talking about that 1 point, right? That can push out another team or two. Raccoon is being sneaky right now as he needs to be. But they will try, and that will be a return knock, but we'll need a little bit more.
Raccoon, they just can't get it. It's just too many players. And I mean, to be fair, example UK put up a good performance closing out in from two directions. But I mean, while we're on the topic of paragliders, I wanted to know, like, is the paraglider like worse in your eyes than that motorcycle with like the 3 wheels on it, that extra little bit on the side?
The tricycle.
Yeah,
right.
the tricycle,
Okay.
like.
Oh wow! Like
how low are we going here with the paraglider?
You know what? I'll go for the tricycle. I'll go for that.
Oh god!
First.
Oh god! It's happened.
You know why? Because it can at least, yes, I can flip or whatnot, but there is a higher way for me to just still, recover. Like after I screw up, like with the glider, it's so hard, and sometimes you are making it public as well. It's like I'm screwing up, and you're just crashing down from the sky and showing where people where you're landing as well. Like if you're just if you crash a car, like yes, you can do it in a dip or something. It won't be like as much. Like you didn't have to tell everyone that you're screwing up. Like that is a problem with the glider, and that is a legit point. Like elevation when it's not to your advantage, like that will be one of those cases. Yes.
I mean, so do we just, we need to add force fields into the game? We just need to get some of that ignition update magic coming into real games. Just add some force fields away.
I don't know, but like we've got Tesla now. We've got soon we'll have
true.
rockets,
they do look pretty darn neat though. To be fair,
and then one day Highland Wolf gets very famous, and then we'll have many more variety of buses, and then I will.
That's what I introduce. That's what I give to the world of PUBG. Just lots of beep buses. I mean, that's very accurate to be fair. I mean, if you hate the beep bus, not gonna lie, there's not gonna be a future for you in PUBG Mobile for much longer. I mean, there's a cult growing, Tarzan, with the Highland Wolf squad and the beep bus. I mean, this is true. This is very true indeed.
Yes, and you know what? This is important. Let's bring ourselves back to this game. We talk about the strength of this plateau and how teams can really acknowledge another team and really outsmart them. Basically outplay. Excuse Me is one of those teams who would control this segment, being a San Martin team, this would be a position that they can get the priority towards claiming, and they will be able to set up. I was so scared that they may lose one. Imagine having 2 games that you suddenly may feel a little bit less secured, then you start to, then you become one of those teams who lost players early. That would be a bit rough, more than a bit to be fair, but you know what, sometimes I do believe that I underestimate the mentals of some of these players, and so this time around did I jinx them? I probably did. One confirm and another one knock, so let's see whether they can hold that down, because I've never thought that Excuse Me would not make the finals, but I mean, who am I? I can't say that. They need to do it for themselves.
Tarzan, let's go be excited there. I saw it. No! Behind me, no! Don't touch it! Silly, no! Don't touch the beep bus! How could you die for that? That's exactly what should happen. Costi will fall. KLR, they take another. And KLR, despite the fact they may be near the bottom of this leaderboard, and they may not have had a great game so far, this is a really good performance, all jokes aside, coming from them. I mean, taking down one of the Excuse Me members, taking down another knock, they probably will not confirm it through, especially considering if this does centralize around Picardo Hill. KLR, they're looking really strong for this game.
I think that the gun skills were there. Those are pretty sick, to be fair. The quick peek and quick tap and just send them back down. But I would also say it would be Excuse Me screwing up. You've got relative high ground. Do you really have to peak that when you didn't have numbers advantage? You don't have to peak that. And to be fair, if I were KLR, when I got that knock, I would position to the other side using Ridgeline and start to pinch. I would get multiple angles, because there's only one way when you go up there is to come back down. And when more teams enter the area, as KLR, I will pinch that from that northern side. But it seems like they were also on the go as well, so we need to see how that turned out. But their driving skills are very important here. RLX, would they be another team who doesn't seem to have had the best performance, but really surprising us in this last 2 games? It happened yesterday. I won't be surprised if we've got more teams who would do that.
The problem is with being so low now, only 2 games to go, Tarzan, you need to get the kills as well as those high scores in placement points. Placement points aren't good enough because even if you won the next 2 games, if you're sat on 30 points or 50 points right now, you get another 30, that's still only 80. And that's not enough even then to be able to qualify by these next 2 games, by the rest of how every other team will perform. So that is why it's so important to be doubling that up with your extra 10-point kills per game. If RLX can manage that, it's a very long shot for them. If they maybe get more than 10, they maybe get about 13, 15, then maybe a second or a third place, that's also acceptable. But that would be what you need to get into that 100-point mark and be safe for RLX.
Yeah, and like right now, the math is getting a bit too complicated, but I know a lot of those teams who completed their games yesterday are watching, and the simplest way to pray is to see the side of 1802, Wizard, Esports, Born for Victory, like these teams to soak up all the points, right? Like then the rest would be suffering a lot more. But you know what? Like sometimes you can take away their position points and all that if they can still sneak 1 or 2 kills here and there. That is enough to destroy your own dreams.
Albeit dreams of Los Leones Tarzan are not there. That is true. Actually, I shouldn't say it just too late because there's still a little bit of Los Leones there. I don't want to jinx it. I probably have already by saying that and getting a bit too excited. But on the other hand, it's all the way up towards now that more northern part of Picado Hills, and I actually am very excited about that. Yes, it's not going to be the super north and the west side of Miramar that I dreamed of coming into this 3rd match, but it is something different. I think this is going to be very intriguing to see how teams play this out, because they haven't seen teams, or anyone, as a matter of fact, play like this in this style of Miramar.
And B4V as well, like to be fair, if I need to pick one map that they are least aggressive, it might be just Miramar. I might be wrong here. I need to go back and check the stats, but I don't remember
I agree,
seeing them being extremely flashy on here. I think their drop spots might be the reason why, and of course they have their style set, and I don't want teams to make changes that they cannot, like really cope with, so that they really even lose their edge. So let's see how they can do that. But because I'm only saying that because they are a team that's definitely showing that potential, and those initial drops can be changed. But after all, it will be a bit of a chess game, right? You need to be very certain of your research, and Hyman, Wolf, your prayers have been listened. Like, no more Los Leones around here. And we will have a very tricky one. And Triple is going into a very important segment of the map, onto that southwestern side of that main road. There's so many dips that they can play off, but it also just seems to not be what they want to do. Scouting that compound and taking more center would be a sensible thing to do, because if the circle either shift away from them and they've been playing loud, it may be quite hard to cross that road.
We are checking out building out, but Kirchvi is on the opposite end. We will potentially find one. Yes, they do. Surprises enough. But where's the support from the duo? Nemo isn't quite there. They are on that 2nd floor. Kirchvi's trying to heal. Gets caught midway. We'll just go down. Mel's barely alive. Can it drop down enough, though? That is the question. Barely in time. Nemo not there to save him, and now drops down themselves. Goes for the 1v1, but a revive is coming through. That's not the thing you want to do. Alternative, you need to be moving up. And they will confirm 1 kill through themselves. 1-for-1 trade. This is back to a duo here for Alternative. A solo for Nemo. Steps up the stairs, goes back in where their comrade died, but a little bit hesitant. Looks to maybe be a little bit fancy. Flash a grenade across the wall. Molly will stop the approach.
Where's the last member of Alternative Esports? That is a little bit weird to me. And the support needs to come in. The numbers advantage needs to be used. And Nemo needs to be found for sure, like after that one. And let's see whether Godmels can hold it. Just clutch a second time, but he's only got 1 bandage. There's no possibility to reset after that one if he screws it up.
Well, Nemo might just give it to him, that reset overall, because they are going sneaky, a little bit around the side. Mels could have had a little bit of time to also maneuver around the side of her own, as another grenade will land through, potentially over. But look, it is a third party. It's not the support of Alternative teammates. It's 1802 here. And now, red and black, they are down. Zycode, excuse me, who are on the back end, who have seen all of this action come through, they maybe do go for that push, but they don't go all the way. They instead want to try push into more open expanse, into the furthest position inside of zone. An alternative, they may just get gatekeeped, but at least they are alive for now.
But you know, like 2 points is huge at this stage. We're talking about teams holding in the high 80s and praying. Like to get 2 when they are now getting themselves at least 80 points. They can still go. Like, of course, we only lost one team. There's so much that that pair of duos really need to do, but there's still a chance. Like with this sort of landscape, with the resources they seem to have, they can still play the edge style to slowly come in from that south eastern side. And now that there's not that much ground to cover and travel, there is still some chance. But this is a little bit crazy, and you can see, excuse me, not having the best game so far, but they do have a compounder. Not easy to hold that down as a duo seems to be the case right now, so the fans need to root for them stronger than ever.
I just again feel like 1802 for a strong position about their mid game is once again here. But I think that actually for 1802, even you could step a little bit further back. I think that you can start to step into, of course, the highest point of those hills, but not quite there yet. And I think that would have been more beneficial for them. There is still time, but it's just the fact that there are a lot of these southern teams rotating in because, and you can expect it, because it is such a northern shift once more from that previous phase 3. And I think that now it comes down to, well, can they set out another aggressive game? And can actually anyone stop them? Because yes, you said, excuse me, out there also inside a zone in their compound, but they're not got the high ground. They're in a bowl in the edge of that northern side of the zone. And the southern shift would also decimate through the hopes of excuse me too.
Yeah, and you just find these titles so extremely hard to play. And seem like teams can only really rely on like very limited information, and that's very cautious because the third party can come in very easily, as we see Yemen Esports getting eliminated. To be fair, like many teams would want them in and do a little bit more damage, and but they're not too much. But now that they are eliminated, they've got at least one huge the map game that they need, and that map is just look at that. And RLX will try to challenge B4V for this one. I'm not sure whether that will work out.
Alternative as well. That was what I was looking at. Can alternative potentially third party? No, they couldn't, but now they have been spotted inside of zone, so they may have to go for the third party, whether they like it or not. Is now also our relation mentioned. They are trying to fight. They're trying to realistically defend their solo player who was surrounded by B4V, but instead it's only B4V losing one. Another knock against him. And now our legs are closing that gap. Knight, though, crucially, has been clutch AF for this squad in these last 2 games. Yes, it didn't look so great on Sanhok, but at least they took players with them and could do the same again. Do not count this solo player out. That is for certain. Born for victory. Knight does step around the outside. They are making those peaks to try and get a little bit more information.
Very tricky one. I think this is just the time to know how much info you want to give. RLX doing a very interesting thing. Like the attack is coming in from a very split way, and Baba really needs to just bop that what NH did, and that is so important in this push.
Goes in for the second. Can Nefari Sedu? RLX Esports taking down Born for victory. They are happy that they got that good first game now because these two ain't looked so juicy in both now Miramar for a second time in a row. Cyrax as well in a little bit of burning trouble with example UK below them.
And Cyrax now sitting on 80 points. Like they need big games for sure. Like, and they don't run away like from fights. I think their style's been consistent, but there's something that needs to be tuned up a little bit more. And this time around, like against example UK, a team that likes to fight, this is going to be tight because Naka, 14 kills, I believe, from that day one.
Cyrax to step up. Go Dace one down with them, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. But Cypher's there to do the dirty work. An example UK do fall, and Cypher stepping up as a duo here. 4 kills for Cyrax. This is really crucial when we talked about that leaderboard, Tarzan. Cyrax set right on the edge of the bubble, but we aren't quite in qualification yet. And I think very surprising considering Cyrax, another one of these names that we said all on that second page in danger of being eliminated. Conqueror, though, in the same problem. Yes, they are inside that top 14 right now, but we need to stay there, and there are so many teams right below them. Shoot to survive as well, trying to make that miracle run alongside iCurd, but neither of them really looking all of that strong, because when you look towards Shoot to Survive, they are on that side with iCurd, but iCurd, they have that high ground, and they do take them out because of that extra information that they do have. As now iCurd, they step into this next shift. It has gone over towards Picardo. Thankfully, excuse me, are there. The zone goes with them, as I would like to make that rotation in. Not going to get caught by iCurd, though.
Is going to be so important for Excuse Me, and I like the fact that they're hugging the far side from the combat zone, so if there's anything they can retreat to that eastern side. RLX been showing some potential. A lot of teams actually been playing surprisingly well, and that may really shake things up.
Still, though, iCurd, they do step in on the south side of the zone, yes, but on the western side, that is where the drama comes through thick. Cyrax now going to fall. iCurd, they find their fifth. Alternative Esport also going to be eliminated. They are still in need of points coming into that final game. 1802 in a little bit of trouble because Triple, they are also bursting their way in, charging for that hope inside of that top 14 too, but there is only so many places we can give here in this tournament, Tarzan, and there is not enough positions inside this zone to give it to them. Except as Reznov are the duo inside the shack. Do look, take down Wizard Dragon, but they do survive for now. Wizard's still there in the game.
Triple needs a huge game. Not just placements, but also all those goes down to those duos. They really need to make it work. Can Reznov deliver? With that PMPO experience with Conqueror, can he deliver? I think that will be the huge question here. Like, Wizard Esports goes out as well. They're probably safe already. So that will be Triple holding that one. No, down. Actually, they still got 3 players. This is huge for them.
Oh, a Triple will go straight in onto Conqueror, though, Tarzan. Scepters goes in from behind, only now gets caught, but Ari falls down too. Albi overhead. Soka is a 2v1, does find Reznov, does take down the third, and Soka steps up when it counts. And Conqueror, they take down the rest of Triple Sports Club. That might be it for them. Excuse me, they are still alive, silly Paul. We said, well, Prada Costi, they've been carrying in that third state of play for excuse me. Now it is the time of these 2 new dogs, though, to step up alongside the rest of these new dogs in town. From the rest of the new dogs on these other squads still alive. 1802 still alive. 2 players. KLR still there as well. Only going to play upset, but look who has the points, Tarzan. iCurd UK with 7 kills so far. If they can grab more in this game, if they can take this chicken dinner, there is a world where they can qualify.
And this is where, excuse me, need to deliver at least 1 kill would do them huge, because they can surpass multiple teams in the middle bubble there. We'll be down to those 2. They need to hold down the momentum from Conqueror. That will be 1 knock to open.
1 knock to open, but there's still 2 more to go, and it can't find it. It's a 1-for-1. Paul will also fall, and in the top 5, that's all they'll grab. 6 placement points plus their kills. Means it's not going to be a pretty sight for them whatsoever. As now Conqueror up to 9, still a full squad. This is the qualification match for them regardless here, Tarzan. This is a type of pretty series of games that we were looking through for Conqueror to take. Kurds UK, though, they do need to continue to make a push themselves. They need to continue to make these points happen. But Rawaz going so low. Flash very split away from them, so they aren't even inside the zone. And yes, they're trying to get inside, but that hill, that ridgeline is proving too difficult. But we need to continue to move because the blue zone is already coming in close behind.
I mean, Conqueror playing so confidently. It's like they are, like, as one, they're determined. They would just go for it, and there's no sloppiness anywhere they go. And everyone trying to deliver and trying to do their job. Like, this will be huge. This is a huge statement from the team, and I think they might be just safe when they just keep playing like this in the remaining parts of this game.
Still, blue zone shifts over to phase 7. Still 4 teams alive. Conqueror all 4 up. This is their game to lose. They do strike another Ari inside the blue zone, though, is going to fall for their troubles. It's only going to be an extra one they grab, but they might have done enough damage. They lose another. Conqueror up to 10 kills so far. Finally, the blue stops for the rest here of Icurd.
1 for 1 there. Ari lost his life for that kill. It might be worth it. Like in these final moments, if the zone decides so much that you can't get further placement points, those kills are important. Just bring that first aid to your teammate as well, and that will be Icon actually coming in pretty huge as well. That may further change things up. Will that be the 2-piece of a huge game for them to even join the pack?
Albeit, it is now going to be, as you said, rightly so, down to one player here for Icurd. They still have to get those placement points. Good placement points means they could still pick up a 20-point game. It is going to be very scary, very difficult for them overall. There's now also the rest of KLR. Continuing also with only 2. Yes, they might not qualify here, but it can still upset the rest. They can still win this game. They can still leave with a chicken dinner. Be proud of their performance, Tarzan. But Conqueror, they are on 11. They've only been getting more. But the nades on top of them, it goes a little bit wide, but it was so close indeed.
And that is just a bit insane. Like the trigger discipline is there, is much needed for Icurd. But there will be certain moments if he can find that line of sight that can come in for a double knock and finish, that might be the game changer there.
1802, they take down another. Look at them take down 2 with the help of Icurd, though. Conqueror, they slip in 1802, they do fall, however, fair engagement. Icurd, they take them all through. Wow, as up to 8, a solo player trying to make work, and you look back towards even the first game here, Tarzan, we saw it was the solos who stepped up, who took the games into their own hands. Dragon is no longer here, though. It is Wawaz who is a new hero of Miramar, who is here to look to try take their name, take their team through to the finals. KLR, Ibra barely alive, crawls further in, no healing is left on them. Wawaz gets caught, will fall down, no longer here to contest. KLR, the final player and Conqueror, they're gonna chew him up, they're gonna spit him out, they're gonna take this chicken dinner, because there is nothing in the world here that Ibra should be able to do to defend this one. Yeah, Conqueror, they take it slow. They wait patiently. They know the zone will only flush them out. They know that they only need to go a little bit further in. A grenade from Ibra. Going to be cooked. Going to be now missing as well. Ibra, they know the position has been revealed. Conqueror holding on to the edge. They know, as we say, we have the zone. We're playing this very, very respectfully.
So it's not worth going for 1 kill point if you just lose 3 placement points. But you know what? We'll find the angle anyways. And Conquer UK has been playing like the kings of this region today. And we've been waiting for them to play like this for so long. And it's great. Yeah. It's great to see the changes. It's great to see the confidence and the team playing as we expect them to be. I shouldn't say that as if like this is like you should have been like this. Like any bounce back is extremely hard, especially when there's been expectation on your shoulders all along. So that was a great way to wrap, that second last game. And just can't wait to see those leaderboards, man. It's going to be extremely close.
To be fair, as we do check out those match rankings, though, I am very hyped to see if Conqueror, as we say, up on that top 29-point game from them. Icurd, as we said, stepping up with an 18-point game, KLR with 14. It feels a little bit of a shame, though, Tarzan, but they are stepping up now, because I wish I would only seen these type of games earlier through from them. Maybe then we would have been looking at them in point of contention.
Yeah, and I think the tricky thing here would be for Triple Sports Club to at least repeat what they've done today. Like, I think that they need more than that to be safe. And it's fair to say, definitely tied with several teams around 88. That is just like crazy. You want more points to go towards like 1802 and not teams like, for sure. So like, don't know how to pray anymore. Just like throw anything at me and just hopefully, I just want to see the best PUBG. Like, I don't know who to root for. I just want to root for good plays and a lot of good just
Yes.
sportsmanship coming through as well. Sometimes people just like give up, and those hard moments when people need to make split moment decisions, and they made the right one to maybe take one more extra point or take 1 point away from someone else. Like those things is what I'm looking out for, and I would really love to see those.
Very exciting last match coming up here, Tarzan, as we say one more at the group stage before we have our top 14 to see Rescue and Gaijin Seraphim in those finals next week. It's going to be a hype one. We're back here for the final match in the PMCO UK 2021 full season group stage. And now, Tarzan, we are here. But a little nod to our sponsor quickly, of course, Xiaomi, where you can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on the powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. Tarzan, we've been talking about it all break.
Yes.
This is hype. I mean, when you look at the results right now, one of the most close games I think we've ever casted mathematically. There is essentially 9 teams that can still make this. There's only 5 spots we can give from that 10th position, but there are 6 teams playing out of those 9 in this next game.
That is, I can't really phrase that better than you did. Well done, because I was looking at all these numbers. There's so many ways to interpret it, and I think you did that beautifully. Like this, we will see the standings later on, guys. Like, and you will understand what we mean. There's so many ties going on. There's so many teams who need to. If we remember how they played in the first game, if they don't surpass themselves in how they did in the most recent Erangel game, they are out straight away. And they sometimes need to not just surprise themselves, but and even more, because that is what's the chart suggesting to us mathematically. So. Wow, it would take. They need to channel all the energy, the right type of energy. They pull out secret weapon right now and not overload the circuit. I think that is where we set the line when it comes to maybe the psychological side of things. When it comes to sports science, however you want to name it, but I think you guys will understand what we mean. Like you've shaken before,
it's insane.
Like when you're holding a device. So man, huge game ahead.
Yes, absolutely massive. And I just wanted to call straight down. Obviously, we are talking about 10th to that 14th position, those 5 teams. A little bit of speculation that actually it is 3 teams, 10th, 11th, 12th positioned on 89 points for a little bit of a picture here. 13, 14 for 88 points. The rest of these teams coming down to 19th, and I just want to be correct here, is going to be on 81 points. So there is only so much of a gap in between these teams. And as we were talking behind the scenes a little bit about them, I think Cyrax, one of the biggest squads that are still to qualify, that what are surprised us here.
Yes. You know what? Like, it's extremely crazy to think that they could be around this position. But when we observe and think about all the storylines of the teams that are slightly above and below them, they all seem to deserve that spot. It's extremely tricky this time around. And it's about the extent of those, maybe the amplitudes of those up and down in that storyline that really makes a difference. But they all sound extremely... I don't know. It's like my heart's going to break for
bittersweet,
all
right?
These teams.
Like,
Insane situation, and you can only feel so conflicted sometimes when you can see the heart of the players. You can see the drive. We always say that this guy looked lost. The way that he moves his character is just a bloody joystick. But no, like when you play this game for so long, you've cast it so long, you've seen and witnessed the emotions that goes through. Like I feel like this is where we're at right now. Today, in this coming game, we will, reveal so much.
I don't know, loving this Tarzan coming through because, as we said, Cyrax needed about for a game the storyline, so it's realistically 4 points at least. But even if they grab those 4 points, most wanted, they find themselves eliminated. You're really talking about, as we do move over to those overall stats, thank you very much in my ear, producer, as we do jump through to them. We said about Cyrax, of course, through those overall stats. If we can move through as well to that 9th to then 16th position, that's where all the juicy action is. As of course we said Cyrax there, but also, they are just slightly below them, and even there to an extent, Triple Sports Club. All 3 of these teams, not just Cyrax, who we expected would be there inside the top. But then if they do make it, you're knocking out the likes of Most Wanted and also the rest of TRG Direction, Arena 51, who all 3 of those teams made an insane run just to get here.
So this is what we're talking about, guys. Now, exactly on your screen here, you can see this good amount of separation of 15 points between 9th and 10th place. And we believe that only the 10th to 14th place, which is 5 places in total, will still be for these teams to grab. Like, yes, you can have such a huge game that you can overtake that, right? But then you just push out some of these teams. 89, 89, 89, 2 teams with 88 points. Those are the 5 teams right now. But then we've got Cyrax, who will need to get, actually, I arguably more than 3 points. Like, if Excuse Me just goes out early, I think it's pretty much GG. They need to pray everyone to be below them that are close to completely suck so that they can get in. But who would have thought that they would be in this position? That is crazy. They gotten 7 points in the last 3 games. It's like we don't. It's not the team that we know. Something needs to be pushed towards the right direction. Just one thing, one thought, one line, and then that one team can make that difference. And I'm so ready for something to come out of the blue that's none of these teams as well. Like, let's look at the next page of it. I think we shouldn't ignore some of these other teams that could still get the chance, because after, just look at Trip 82 as well. Example, Tide 82, both still got a game to play. 81 points alternative esports, even down to iCut and Yemen esports. One chicken dinner, they are very close.
I think that, to be fair, it's going to be an absolutely insane game, whatever happens. I mean, also you look towards Triple, Example, Alternative, all 3 of these teams who could still make that run. Heck, even iCurt could still make that run. They had a good game in that game 3. Another game like that, a little bit of improvement there too. You start to get 20 points. You can see them inside that top 14 quite clearly. I think even to an extent, they're also Yemen. So it is insanely open, this leaderboard. And as we said, it all comes down for over half of these squads to this final game. Forget what you have done in these previous 11 matches. It determines now whether you get there or not in this one match alone.
You know what? Like, let's zoom out just a little bit, guys. Like, with this, another way to look at this game that can really allow us to relax just that little bit. Okay, I want to talk about those teams who seem to be in the safe zone. Like, they should be. Like, to be fair, like 1802. Another part of the storyline would be for them to take a huge game, and now they are 17 points below 777 Esports. If they win this one, or they even have to win this one and actually surpass it, I wonder how 777 would feel about that, and what type of boost would 1802 get from that. And same for Concrete UK. Let's not forget to celebrate how well they've done today. And it's not done yet. It's only 3 quarters. Another game, and they can go as far as they can, and they can sit at somewhere even top 3. And to know where they were before today started, I think that will be one of the biggest bounds as well for anyone to rely on, to say, hey, look, we talk about momentum, right? This is it. Like, Concrete is back.
Concrete is here. Concrete is here to stay. To be fair, they've made it. Now it's the rest of these teams' turn to try and make it. Albeit they may have already tried, and now we have to pray. They may still be trying. They still need to get in there. And I think that no one is safe. That is what we say. That is the basis that we go upon. And as we do approach that final game, very, very exciting stuff. But we have to look at, well, who has been performing well on Erangel. I think, to be fair, we haven't really seen all that much from these teams when it comes to Erangel itself. It has been more of those teams up high on the leaderboard already who have solidified their spot that are the ones that we would look towards who are strong.
This game is going to be extremely hard to predict, because, like, if you are those teams who can't go out early, you would be thinking about where I get those points. Like, if you want to take points from anyone, it would be for those who are fighting for the same spot as you.
Yeah.
If you can't do it well, you're not taking away their points, you're giving them points. So suddenly, I think a lot of these teams will play very conservatively, which shift that power level to go from those very strong teams. So we're going to go in-game now and to find out how that playing path is going to set that phase, because I believe, after all, those data would work, those analysis will be useful, and then this time around, it most importantly is the mindset and the mental state that allows the execution of all of that. Every small thing that we talked about will be part of this last game. You know, time sometimes it's one of the most objective thing. But right now, it really feels like it will just fly by. We talk about maybe just that half an hour that you waste the other day watching YouTube video. This is life and death to some people. This may be their last game in this esport.
Oh man, and now we're heading through into this final game, the final match. And as we said, we've laid down the storylines. We have laid down who needs to get those points. However, when it comes through, of course, to the likes of these teams, we said they haven't been performing strong. How do they perform strong? Do they take out their own teams? Do they not? That, I think, is to be the case, because we need to see them step up, and we need their mentality point of view for them to step up as well. Because as you look towards a team like Excuse Me, who are in this position, they haven't been getting those points. And we also questioned, is it the fact that Prada and Costa have carried them to that position? And they can really, Silly and Paul, step up. They couldn't do so in that third game. They have to this time around, because if Prada and Costa fall, that's not going to be the case. That is having the result, having the success from such a failure. And again, that zone, dead on exact. It feels like game one all over again, but the stakes are way higher.
And I think it's very interesting to first see something. I don't know what does it mean, but Excuse Me is no longer going to Pachinki. I think that is huge. I think that is some change that really makes me question: is this an aggressive thing to do, or is it a very passive thing to do? Like, it's for sure a different thing that they are doing, and this time around seems like that was, a great one coming through, because 1802 are dropping on there. Like, something is, I don't know, it's all mind games, and 1802 will take this, no problem. So that adaptation actually came through okay. But you know what? KLR, we need to take this one. Both these teams would be completely fine without as many points, and that will be them hurting each other. But you know what that means, Highland Wolf? These points aren't going to the teams that need them.
Right, indeed. And though that means that this doesn't really matter this fight, it does matter in the bigger picture. And that is what we're looking at. Unfortunately, a lot of dead bodies, though, however. As Arvin does go for the revive, Kedgely will just be confirmed. Finally, Miran and I smack them into that trailer, as now it will be one less to deal with. One kill so far. Red Black Nemo far away, as also the rest of KLR themselves come up together. And as we move through, I think, to this game, we said it is very similar to that first phase last time. Well, where were those similarities coming from? It was a lot to be on around that Yasnaya side, where we saw all of that engagements coming through into that second phase. I'm intrigued to see if this will be the same case again.
Man, like, it really just brings me that emotion right now, because, like, we've seen so many different things in this tournament. It's not the, yes, we have lost Leonis, and that's also different, because how often do you see that so-called consistency from the circle, right? But South Georgia, well, Crate's finish, we had one as well, and that game changed a lot of the momentum between these teams. And we talked about them still having the chance to get some points, and they can maybe do it, because the side of Shoot to Survive is practically out. Like, they need to basically go insane and evolve Super Saiyan, I would say. They need to go to that level of almost mutation to be able to qualify. But ICUT, on the other hand, cannot have any misstep. Like, if they want to take this fight, they need to do it clean, because there's still a long way to go.
Should Survive, nothing to lose. ICUT, everything to lose here in this final match. And around this fight, it will be decided. At least one of our teams, ICUT UK, do step up. One far on the backside, not inside a crate yard, but they are on the outskirts. They're trying to find those angles in. But look at the rest of Shoot to Survive. You go back to the fundamentals. Shoot to Survive, they actually have that better pinch. They've got a lot more spread across these crates, and they've got a lot more vision around these crates. It makes it harder for ICUT, because ICUT, yes, they are in these warehouses. They can't play secretive and spy around these crates itself and be sneaky, because where they are, it's very obvious where they are, as Red Black do take down 1802, but they cannot take everyone through, and Livco will clean out Red Black for now. So there again, 1802 sponging up those points away from these teams.
The Red and Black did a lot of work, and just tried to take so many kills. There's so many actions, so they died with pride. And thank you for playing. That was a very decent run, especially today. They caused so much disruption, a lot of knocks in those moments as well as a trio. So I believe they have that potential to come back strong. This time around on this side, there seems to be a little bit of a different situation. I could get pushed and shoveled, and they're adjusting their split. But every single footstep would matter, and that would be Yaxi needing to hold that one down and find the angles by manipulating the footsteps and the rotation from the enemies.
I could step up onto Pew Pew Pew. Funny, I like name enough, but they do need to take down potentially one of the most serious contenders. But Yaxi, no, they do strike, and that's going to be another knock. I could is stepping up when it counts. Tarzan, 2 kills so far. Chief is the only one alive for a shoot to survive. As Roaz does enter on in, Flash as well on the outskirts. There won't be a quick finish. It will be a little bit more of an engage, but rain will fall. That is for certain. And it's going to be 3 kills for Ikert.
Ikert with the beautiful PUBG, and will come in and try to finish the third one. Look at them go, just controlling one side. I thought they were going to get pushed out. They found the time to rotate. They get a 1-2-1 formation. The 2 sides being covered. The cover fire was sufficient. It was done so perfectly, and they will get the clean wipe that they absolutely need. Now that with that momentum, can they bring it even further? With those 4 points, they're only 3 points behind Triple Sports Club, and with momentum, they can maybe take even more. 1802, though, will continue to exert the dominance. KLR, another team that really need to show up in the last game, at least for the pride.
They're taking down 1802, they're taking them down to 1 player. If they just jump out and end them, that's what I want to see. I want to see some aggression come through from PMCO UK squads. It does that, but a little bit too late. It's a 2v1, and Ibra will fall. And now it's going to be back to the solo, but we do return it back in. It was a 1-for-1 trade, and now Jack. There's the only one remaining. A nade and an Uzi left beside the bin. Might just be put inside of it. Jack going solo. Jack running back. Moran needed to reload. Crucially doesn't get a kill from the backside though. Welcome's here. Jack trying to find it. They're going in for the fist, but he changes his mind. And Welcome, psych, takes down 1802.
And whilst that was happening, not just before 1802 got eliminated, Excuse Me got eliminated. So we now need to look at to see whether they got anything out of that fight. It was Conquer UK with the perfect sweet nade from Hisoka that really blew up that whole team and their hopes and dreams, as well as the bodies on that kill feed. That was insane. We need to go back to even find out. I don't even know if they've got a single point. We talked about how they can't go out here. We just need some of these teams below them to get a few points, and they would be out. The team that's got 2 PMPL Europe West Season 1 contestants.
Right. Exactly.
Insane storyline right here in this UK scene.
To be fair, though, it was a little bit of a yikes, Tarzan, when you go into Gaijin and Seraphim, you make it through to the PMPL. Gaijin are in the finals, you split up from them, you go to Excuse Me, you have good results, but you don't make PMNC first place, you don't even potentially make it into the finals of the full split on PMCO UK again. That's a disaster coming through from Prada and Costi, and unfortunately, that might have been all they wrote. That was crucial, and Conqueror UK have been stepping up all day long, are showing us once again why they deserved that spot.
You know, the crazy thing also is by them getting eliminated earlier, they are placing at least 1 placement point into Cyrex's hands. Same for Triple. They've got an extra point in their example team. Like the same. I'm not sure whether examples are still in here. I might be tripping, but you guys, you get the point. Like, this is why I love doing this type of games. Like, the math really comes in and every single thing. Like, that is why
I love it.
I do. This is why I cast, man. Like, this is insane. And we are down to only 12 teams as lobby. Like, Zone 2 is not even close yet.
To be fair, I mean, keep the maths coming, Tarzan. I've never felt a maths lesson so excited. But I am loving maths in this situation. I might have only got a C grade in my maths, and it took me 2 years. But, oh boy, Am I loving it right now? I would go and revise. I would study for that straight A in this moment in time if it was PUBG in my exam. RLX. They are stepping up, and they have an exam themselves, an exam and a half, but not as much as Yemen, who needed these points. They're not getting them. RLX take them down another. They go in, and Denny for the revives, but he's into everyone slipping, everyone begging to try find that revive. Mizaki does find one, and Denny, well, a little bit too late, but we'll find it anyways. Not quick enough shots, not direct enough from RLX, and now only Guru OP, the solo player. It might be. And now all ends here for RLX, the end of the line itself. They don't even go for the revive. They 3v1. They delete RLX. And Yemen, they take themselves also here. 3 kills. Yemen also in contention. Don't forget, Tarzan, to get inside that top 14 too.
And especially when the teams that needed more points, if they somehow get points early in this game, momentums go their side. So in some ways, they are kind of on par with some stronger teams. But your Conqueror is just popping off like this game. They're going everywhere and trying to kill everyone. Even B4V can't stand the aggression right now. And KLR will end their PMCO 2021 Fall Split run. Right, okay, thank you so much for playing, especially in that last game. They delivered. They did not give up. You can see they've improved their play. Yes, there were mistakes here and there, but I can see a team that is improving. I can see a team that doesn't give up, and that is extremely important.
Oh, man. As now also alternative, another one of those squads. Example UK, you asked, are they still alive? Hell yeah, they are. Example UK are in this game. Conqueror still here though, and they are continuing to strike. Not so much of an important fight here in terms of standings versus Born for Victory. Of course, both of them are going to go through, but regardless, Jimmy is in a little bit above her. Ari, the Middle Eastern professional star player, stepping up. Jimmy is nowhere to run, will fall down. Snowboy arms beside them will confirm the kill. And Born for Victory, what seemed like a great first game, just feels like they're melted in Lex 3.
Well, I would say just Conquer UK playing so confidently. The split was perfect as well. Came in and scout, did the early work, got the numbers advantage, set up accordingly to pinch the last guy as well as funneling the second last guy to pinch and the second last guy to really just stay on the outside and got funneled into the hands of the rest of the team. Conqueror playing confidently, beautiful PUBG, smooth, clean, nice, and so good. And you know what? We talked about always learning, and I feel like all these teams have been learning and progressing through this tournament, and that is actually very encouraging to see. Like, sometimes you don't always feel that. Like, it's not, I don't think we are having a stroke. I don't think I'm reading into things. So many things that really cause our brain to almost bleed and definitely hurting was
Yes.
some very weird gameplays, but we may get a very good metaphor, like type of metaphor when it comes to ending this game. If we get a school ending to really represent the learning,
School ending on this?
that would be really interesting. But let's not forget about alternative esports here. Yeah, they've been playing slow, but due to the aggression, they have gotten those placement points slowly, and keeping that number advantage will be key for them. They need to tune up the aggression, make the best out of their position to farm some kills, and they can still make it into the finals.
A school ending here, Tarzan, I feel like would just explode my brain, like, live on camera. I mean, to be fair, that is probably one of the hardest endings when it comes to multiple teams trying to clutch in. I think the savior here is that we only have 9 teams remaining, only 35, and that is to gain the extent of how aggressive the UK region has become as a whole. Yes, I don't think it's the cleanest of aggression, and it is maybe a little bit too preemptive of fights happening, but it's still beautiful and entertaining to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see Kurt Victory here has surpassed a good amount of teams. So, to be fair, they're kind of in the clear, I would say, because they got 89 points, so they tied with 2 other teams, and above them is 104 points for the Uncles UK. So now that they got into 9th position, that means they've got that 1 point already, and they are now at least at 90 points. that was a miracle run from maybe just that one game earlier
yeah.
really gave them the boost. Like I thought, I wouldn't imagine seeing them in there, but thinking about the way that they all the way through this tournament, they made a lot of things count when it was not easy to execute, and that's what matters. And now, really, very just proactive rotation into this compound as well that can give them the potential to keep eyes open, will get the circle, can control 360 as long as they can respond to crashes from these other teams. I think they will have this qualification in their pockets.
I think example UK, a big moment here for them, also controlling down from the edge of that hillside, their own compound, just facing towards the fields as well. So again, it comes to, can you equally control those squads coming in, and can both of these teams take advantage of that? We also said that, well, Cyrax, they're still not in qualification position, so yes, they're still alive, but they need these kills or they need these placement points. The ninth position, they're not going to get 4 placement points, as we said, at least were required. 4 points of anything required just to qualify, not assuming also to the fact that other teams are also picking up points around them, such as, of course, Ico, such as Curd Victory too.
I think they can at least send one player to do a little bit of circular scout towards the center zone a little bit, so that when there's a hard shift, they wouldn't lose player then. If they can lose even one now, or have one knock now and turn that into a bit of a trade, that may work for them. Because this map, to be fair, to be down to 35 players is actually very, very low for this phase 4 circle. So I think Cyrex need to not just stay in that compound and know the landscape around where they are holding that edge position on the southwest to maybe participate in here. Because let's not forget, Triple Sports Cup can not only come in strong to join and make it equal, they can surpass you. You can't just beat yourself. Yeah, same. They've
already got 4 points. 4 points in terms of kills too. Conqueror, if they do lose one though, that wasn't an aid straight onto Soka. And I think the Conqueror, they will be very difficult to fell. However, they have been playing partly pretty insane here in this final day. 2 beautiful games, a second and a chicken dinner coming back off of Miramar. Keep in mind, they are still the ones to beat. But albeit, example UK, a big step up. They need to again win this fight. If they don't win this fight, example UK are eliminated. This is, albeit, the most important match they will face for the rest of this year.
Well, they've got 3 kill points so far this game, at least 1 placement point. That is 4 to say the least, and that will put them at 86 points. We talked about 88 and 89 points being a huge bubble with a good saturation of teams already from yesterday. And with this momentum and taking down none other the kings of this last day of group stage, example team might be on a little bit of a rampage and can maybe keep going if they know how to defend the compound. Never can get too tunneled in the compound center.
But look at the rest. Example with the help of Icon on the back end. They take down Ari. There's your 4th kill. And there's your 87 points. One more will do it. But we can't get it just yet. Icon, as we said, on the backside, closing in 4 players. Conqueror now down to only 1 of Snowboy. Danoka going to be confirmed, but will Icon snatch it away? Yes, they do. And they steal that 5th point away from Example, as now they look for even more on the backside. Example trying just to spray into anything. They find their 5th. Naka takes down a Denny for Yemen. Yemen's chances shut down by the rest of Triple as well, and we will not see them inside the finals. Naka, although they look for more, cannot find a continuation. They have to keep on continuing to look for Ikert, who are pushing ever so slowly in towards that warehouse.
And that is Example doing the work for the side of Triple. Triple actually naded themselves there. So that is actually the Example saying that we will help you a little bit, but we'll benefit ourselves more. And whatever team gets to out-survive one extra team will start to get 2 placement points. The math is getting crazy. Yes, the zone. As you said, Example straight in the middle, and there'll be so many of the other teams who wants to take the spot away. Not just in the circle, but on that leaderboard. And that will mean so much more in the coming week and maybe in the future for their professional career.
So all the qualification teams, apart from Wizard here and Conqueror, all the other 6 are still trying to fight for that spot. We said there was 9 fighting, okay, coming into this game. The fact that there are 6 out of 8 Tarzan left in this game is insane, to say the least. I mean, alternative here coming in. There is just too many storylines to write for one game alone. But here, Wizards, they may not need to qualify, but they will give points over. Regardless, for example, UK, Dragon almost fell down as well. That could have been the end of 2. Instead, this Dragon will survive for a little bit longer. Icy can't find a drop shots in deep, but we'll blow them up anyway. Dragon nades himself. And that's going to be 2 straight away. Another 2. Make it 7. Make it 8. Make it rain kill points, for example, UK.
And that will be example UK to get at least 91 points. They have broken through that bubble. That will be so huge for them. Will there be more? Will there be more storylines? Where is Triple right now when we are thinking about them still needing to find a way to get in? They've got this outside position to overlook the entirety of the zone. If they can find the best time to strike, find all the angles while keeping themselves safe, they can still come in.
Still, though, the biggest fight potentially of them all, like heard on the end of that leaderboard, they are continuing to assault. They are continuing to find some form of edging inside of this zone. However, Alternative Esports, they still are defending strong. Alternative still here as Dragon does fall. Will be confirmed by no one, surprisingly, is now also there. The rest of example continue to hold in this central zone. Phase 5, Tarzan now switches to phase 6. And phase 6 is where we're going to see a lot more drop, because that's towards the south side. That is now towards Triple, towards Cyrax, and their turn to step up in this game.
And if Cyrax goes out now, there's still a chance that Most Wanted can get in. Like, this is time for them to go down, because Most Wanted can get bumped down even further. We've already got, getting pushed out, because we have the side of example UK bumping themselves up like crazy. And this zone actually helps Cyrax so much. It's crazy and hopeless for many of these teams in that 88, 89 point bubble right now.
They've got to hope, though. They've still got to hope, and I for sure think we're going to be taking it to a tiebreaker situation by the end of this tournament. But who will get above that and be safe from that danger? That is to be said, as many will now also fall. Triple, we said it was their time to step up, their time to show us why they were said to be one of the best UK teams that the UK region can offer. And they take Mini down. They look to try finish off Splash. They're all 4 of them still up. We continue to need these points as the damage rains on in. Still Naz looking over every single person.
They need a lot more, though. They got 3 points in here. They are at 85, I believe. They got 2 more placement points. Good, like 87. You cannot go out
still
now.
not good enough.
First is counts. Like, even if you need to lose 3 players to get some extra points, you need to make the trade. Cyrax, on the other hand, cannot go down now. They will just get 3 points and tie at 88. If they go out now, they will get 2 placement point, 1 kill point, and this is the pressure to come in from none other than Kurt Victory.
They just need to survive like 2 more teams and they could do it, but they can't, because they're the ones being oppressed, Tarzan. And it's Kurt Victory with a smoke road over the top. Akka sends another knock. Sight falls down. And now it's all up to Prince in the back of the zone to survive. Do you go for it? I don't think so. You pray that they forget about you. You pray that another team falls down. Reznov will also drop for Triple, as well as now Godmels will fall for Alternative. And we lose another as Icurd will fall. And I think this is Icurd also going to be eliminated out of the tournament with that Triple. Also Naz dropping. Albie, the only one here to save his team. Everyone is struggling because everyone needs these points and everyone knows they need to fight.
And with that elimination coming through, Most Wanted and, are also out of the tournament, because that will mean that Cyrus get at least 3 placement points. And with that kill, they will get at least 89 points. And the game's not even done yet. We've got teams still trying to catch up. And it's Triple, who needs so many points and needs to farm absolutely everything if they need to really join that pack. That is the finish coming through. And that will be the 4th. And that will be down to 4 teams right now. Triple still in the run.
Alternative, though, not anymore. They fall out just before the edge of victory. Prince keeping his team alive a second time. Dodges out the explosion of vehicle. Conqueror will fall into third. Cyrax, they will surely do it. They have done enough to secure with these 10 placement points. Yes, it will go over to Triple, but Triple only going to join them too. Is a strike. Another make it 8 and make it rain for them as well. The success is both teams secure themselves into this finals. Example, though, they also secure their spot in from every single tricky corner that they have overcome, every single obstacle. All three of these teams, they beat out the rest.
We are down to those small skirmishes. There were mistakes made here and there, but every single inch of those ridgeline would make that difference. And Cyrex is out, but they've got those 14 points. That means they are at 99 points, well above that bubble. So that was heartbreaking for many of these other teams. Triple, though, the math is probably on their side, and that will be the circle also on their side, and we need to see who will be the king of bouncing back in this last game of the PMCO group stage.
This is Triple's time to shine, to show us Tarzan what they are made of. Reznov, Albi, Scepters, all here remaining. It's a 3v4 situation with 13 kills. To example, they're tearing through this lobby in this final game, and they will not stop. They have not lost a single player in their 14th kill, potentially rolling in here. As now Naka steps up on the flank side and looks to try find Reznov. Albi also going so low, will be confirmed by Naka. That angle is true, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Can't find it for 2. As Naka steps up, takes down Scepters in a mega game, for example. 31 points for them.
Play some of the most hype music ever. That was insane. And we are just looking at those maths. Like, my eyes have never... I've stopped doing math for a long time to this level of intensity, you know? And that was insane. You know, what the storylines don't stop, guys. Even when it comes to that final fight. You know why? Because Triple Esports and Example UK were tied in chicken dinner, placement points, and kill points, and therefore, of course, total points before that game. Identical across all those aspects.
Absolutely insane.
And they were down to that last game, and they propelled both up like crazy. We
head to those overall stats, Tarzan, to find our 14 teams. Well, example, they join them alongside Conqueror, 1802 rising up today, and Wizard as well, all in that first page. Joining, of course, 777, Team Savage, Spill, and TSC Legends, who all qualified from yesterday's placements and their points they have earned. So these are our first 8. But who is that next 8? That is what I am looking towards, Tarzan.
Man, are you guys ready? It's time to review. It's time to see this. And there's a lot of heartbreak, but we've seen a lot of close to miracle runs. And to be even close to thinking certain things were possible was one of the most, touching things ever. Like, why do we struggle in this scene? Like, why do we struggle like this time in this world, in this generation? Our mindsets are no good. We give up or whatnot, we blame, we get salty and all that stuff, but this region is stepping up. I don't care where we are right now. I feel like the progression is there and we are in the correct direction.
Oh, and now as we move through to that scoreboard, Born for Victory, Uncles, Triple, Sports Club, Cyrax, Kurd, Arena 51, they're all there. But heartbreak, Tarzan, when it comes to those chicken dinners, that's the deciding factor. Arena 51, they took 2. TRG only took 1. And that is why they are in that 15th position, most wanted in 16. It is painful, to say the least, to see even our 5th place team in spring, most wanted, not make it to the finals. TRG, so strong in PMNC, not make it to the finals. But Arena 51 Esports, they did not make spring, but they will make this finals in fall.
They deserve. When we talk about sometimes how the universe worked in very mysterious ways, like Arena 51, yes, although on paper they are coming extremely close, but they were the team that didn't only start to bounce back in day 3. day 2 they started to fix things, it's already working, and day 3 they came through a lot of very tricky ones. So instead of the luck and bounce and crazy hype, and that's crazy burst of energy in one day, they were the team that deserve it through that consistent work. But you know what, like, what's disappointing to us was what we just missed there was excuse me not making it through.
Yes.
And the storyline doesn't stop because 2 of those players were under Gaijin Seraphim, and that's where we saw them had that PMPL showing in the past, and they won't be now that they've departed from that team and made it to a PMCO but failed to meet their old teammates, or I don't know, like friendly rivals like in here. That is something that I did not expect, but that is probably the beauty of this game.
Mega upset through from Gaijin Seraphim, and I think, of course, as we said, most wanted as well, not making it. I think to an extent TRG, as we said, there were a lot of upsets, but I think surprisingly we did see a lot of rising of teams required to rise in that final game. As we said, Cyrax, Triple, and Example UK, they all got that top 3 finish. They were all needing to get those points. None of them were in qualification spot coming into that game, but they all stepped up, and that is what the pressure does to some of these teams. And if you can handle that, it rewards you immensely when it comes to getting into those finals. And regardless of whatever happens in the finals, I am impressed and I am proud, I think, Tarzan, to say how far we've come as a region here in the UK. From Spring Split coming now into Fall Split, it's going to be an absolutely insane 4-day final. We will see you there on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, myself and Professor Tarzan, the same places, the same time. I'm gonna love it.